All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close, and a big hello to all the people in the chat that were literally counting down from 3:44 to 3:45 just so they could say I'm late. I'm not. I'm on time, but it's actually hilarious. Today's one of the first days in a couple weeks that I'm literally on time, and I'm looking at the chat and I'm seeing that people are waiting for 3, 2, 1 just to comment late. But we're here. We're live today. All right. We're green. Why are we green? Look at this. Shem Pasta's upset that I was on time. This is such a toxic relationship with being on time. Such a toxic relationship. We are green. Why are we green? Because, folks, we got a quote from Donnie T. Look at that. We almost hit 680 on the S&P, 677. We were at 659 last night. We're up 20 points. Why? Trump said he thinks the war is going to end soon. This is not an official declaration that the war has ended. This is not confirmation from Pete Hegseth or the State Department or the Department of War that the war has ended. This is a literal quote that he gave to one CBS reporter saying, hey, I think the war is going to end soon. And as a result, the market loves it.
Out of D.C., our Eamon Javers has the very latest for us. Eamon, over to you.
Frank, you guys have been highlighting that all major averages have now turned positive, and the reason for that appears to be a social media post by CBS News. Their reporter Weijia Jiang has just posted that she's been on the phone with President Trump this afternoon. She says, in a phone interview, President Trump told me the war could be over soon. Quote, I think the war is very complete, pretty much. They have no Navy, no communications. They've got no Air Force. He added that the U.S. is very far ahead of its initial 4 to 5 week estimated time frame. That post from Weijia Jiang of CBS News based on her conversation with President Trump a short time ago. And that comment that the war could be over soon, the war is very complete, pretty much, says the President of the United States to CBS. I think that is a clear rhetorical shift for Trump in the most recent days of this war. What he has said over the weekend was he's prepared to do whatever it takes. This will go on as long as it takes to complete the mission. Now, a very different signal here from the president. That's possibly being read by market participants as something bullish for the market, given all the concerns about the Strait of Hormuz, oil prices, and the like. It's going to leave a lot of open questions, Frank. How will the president extricate himself from the war if that's the direction he intends to go? And what will the Iranians do? Will they, in fact, allow traffic to continue in the Strait of Hormuz, or will they continue to keep it under siege in order to put pressure on the U.S. administration? And then what's the impact of having an Iran that will now be headed by a new Ayatollah whose father and wife were killed by U.S. airstrikes, or allied airstrikes anyway? That all sort of TBD, but for right now, this does seem to indicate at least a rhetorical shift from the president pointing toward something of an endgame. We'll watch and we'll wait and we'll see. Too early to...
Trump also said he would be open to killing the new Ayatollah if he does not cede to U.S. demands. That came out from the Wall Street Journal earlier today. But this is crazy, guys. I mean, this is crazy. This is not even a Trump Truth Social post, like when he said it's a great time to buy. This is his words communicated from a CBS reporter, which is, yeah, definitely different rhetorically from what he's been talking about over the past 72 hours. But this is him kind of signaling, I think the war might be over soon. And again, he could be saying this. I mean, when I interpreted the words from the CBS reporter, I didn't even interpret it as bullish. I just interpreted it as him saying, of him being like Trump, right? Of just saying, yeah, we're beating them, we're sinking their ships, you know, they're going to have to surrender. Yada. I mean, he said something like this on Friday as well. He just didn't literally say the phrase, I think the war could be over soon. And I think that phrase itself is what moved over $1 trillion in the past 25 minutes. But it was also Trump being sort of the braggadocious figure that he is. He just added this caveat of, you know, I think the war could be over soon, essentially just saying I'm confident in the U.S. winning. But I think the exact verbatim quote of I think the war could be over soon is what the algos just ran with. And then we turned green on the day. Amcor is up 3%. Robinhood's up 2%. IREN's up 6%. This was red on the day. Bloom Energy, that's up 10%. SanDisk is up 10%. This thing was almost below 500 this morning. It's now at 580. Apple goes green on the day. Nvidia was just touching 182.90. Now it's at 181, but still up 2% on the day. American Airlines went green. All the airlines looking like they're getting some momentum after the oil prices got hit pretty bad for them in the morning. Even crude is now down 5% on the day. Crude was up 20% last night. You're talking about a negative 30% reversal. I think this has got to be one of the biggest reversals in crude we've seen in at least a decade. If you longed oil in the morning at 110, 115, 101, even at freaking 95, you're down. So there's the poll in the chat. Curious what people think. Do you believe Trump here? Do you believe Trump? Because it's not easy to really taco out of a war unless the caveat is Trump has some intel that the Iranians are ready to end the war. Everything we've seen publicly signals the opposite. But if the Iranians are serious about coming to the negotiating table and ending the war, maybe that's why Trump is signaling this. And that could be the caveat where there is somewhat of a potential taco. Having said that, I find it a little hard to believe that the war is just going to come to an end. The other quote that we forgot to mention is that Trump's originally said there was a 4-week timeline. He also told CBS that the 4-week timeline, we are further ahead of what we expected from the 4-week timeline. So does that turn into a 2-week timeline, 2-day timeline, 1-week timeline? Like, we don't really have a lot of answers here. We just have these 2 quotes that he thinks we're moving ahead of schedule and that the war theoretically could be over soon. And that is enough to get the market to be excited, which again makes you think, what the hell is going on in this market? The way it's moving off these words, not even like official actions or press releases, just words from Trump at this type of level. Robin to right, they're up 2.5% again. I ran up 6%. I think Nebius went green on the day. Nebius is, green on the day. That is now up 6% as well. Trump also will be talking at 5:30. We don't know exactly what he's going to be talking about, but I think it will be somewhat of a continuation of maybe the quotes he gave to CBS today. And that means after hours, if he continues to say, hey, I think the war is going to be over soon, the after hours could also catch on to that momentum and we could see some more excitement. Seeing 60% of people saying, no, you do not believe Trump on the war being over. The other 40% of people saying, yes, we do believe him on this being over. It's just absolutely crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. I mean, like 10 minutes before I went live, these quotes broke, and then boom, you are seeing this type of reversal. But, then again, is this reversal even going to last? I mean, the choppiness of this market has continued to be just unbelievable to imagine. And we've seen these intraday, even end of day reversals. We saw it on Friday to the downside. On Monday, we're seeing it to the upside now, each having a different catalyst. Friday was Oracle. Oracle came out. They denied all those rumors. And then now it's Trump. And maybe it gets faded. The one thing I think we can say that is extremely bullish is getting back over 670. I mean, being able to hold 670 on the S&P, it was that one key level that most people felt if we lose, it can get ugly. Getting back above it, even if we close at 671, would be very nice to see. And that momentum is there. The VIX also completely collapsed today. We were looking at a 30 VIX in the morning. VIX is now at 25, down 13% on the day. Fear and greed. We were at extreme fear. We are now at regular fear. We got to, I think, 22 at the lowest of levels. And now we're here at 27. Again, the only foundation for a taco, in my opinion, can be working with the Iranians to, if not have a legit regime change, accept the current regime that is in place, the new Ayatollah, and have them cede to U.S. demands, as per what the Wall Street Journal reported this morning. I just don't exactly see the guy who just had his mom, wife, and dad killed by the U.S. to be like, yeah, I'm ready to cooperate with the United States, which means either we're not going to have a regime change, which I guess, begs the question, what was the point of this? If he is ready to cooperate with the United States, I mean, that would be, incredible to see. It's just, the skepticism comes up if that guy actually wants to work with the U.S. And so as a result, I think there still are more questions than answers. 181.93, as you can see right there on NVIDIA. The Qs also going green on the day. Let me know if anyone bought the dip on any of these stocks. 607 right here on the Qs. That's up 1.2%. SMH, that goes green. That was at 370 this morning. Now it's at 390. Nubank going green, 1467. ASTS just slightly going red. MicroStrategy, that's green. Bitcoin has had a great day as well. Bitcoin right there just below $69,000. The Kremlin put out a quote saying Putin has put forward several proposals to end the Iran conflict quickly. And the Trump administration is also weighing further easing of Russian oil sanctions amid the price surge. So you've got the Kremlin and the United States potentially working together on this idea of not only increasing supply of oil, but also, taking suggestions to end this war quickly. Now, obviously, Putin has a better relationship with the Iranians than the Trump administration does, so it would be kind of hilarious if Putin somehow brokered a peace deal, given that we've been trying to broker a deal between, the Russians and the Ukrainians for the past 3 years now. But, I mean, I guess this is the market that we're living in. HIMS, still a great day for HIMS. That's up 40%. That's up 40%. So if you're in this name, congrats. You're getting some momentum on HIMS. I know it's been a little tough to see this one over the past couple of months. 40% on here is not small. Andrew Dudum did confirm that there is a deal with Novo and that they will be working together. So it looks like those Bloomberg headlines were correct on Friday night. And now you're seeing some more excitement in some of these growth names that got hit with some of the higher lawsuits. Here's that coverage right here on HIMS, as that one has turned pretty green on the day. Let's pull this up.
And in return, Novo is dropping a lawsuit it filed against HIMS. Now, the legal clouds aren't gone just yet, Frank. No resolution to the Justice Department's investigation into HIMS. Regulatory scrutiny still in play here, so we'll have to see how the company responds to the DC investigation.
And again, HIMS is still relatively small market cap at $4 billion and, still 40% short as well. For the people asking why are we early today, the United States had daylight savings time, so we lost an hour here in the States, which means we will be an hour early for people internationally. Zeta, yep, that hit 19. Zeta is expanding to Canada. That was the update with Zeta today. We'll talk more about that later. 1913 up 1.5%. It looks like that business is branching off into Canada. So for those that watch outside of the States, we will be an hour early every morning and afternoon until the next daylight savings time. Again, I forgot I was literally an hour early today, so no one can complain that I am late. Pinterest still down 1.5%. AMD, this thing was at 188 in the morning. There you go. Reversal to 202. That's up 5.16%. BlackRock, that also is going green. I mean, all the private credit names that were tanking in the morning. Apollo, barely red on the day. KKR, barely red on the day. And then BlackRock ended up actually going green, which is nice to see. Mr. Mike Guy, thanks for the super chat. If Trump pulled out tomorrow and claimed victory, the media would run with that narrative. This is just another buying opportunity, in my opinion. If we do get an quote unquote end of war, even though nothing really has changed in terms of geopolitical circumstances, or if the regime hasn't changed, yada. If we just put an end to this, regardless of any quote like winning outcome, I think stocks are going to pump like crazy. I mean, we're seeing a preview of it today. Trump making a simple remark to a CBS reporter that I don't even think he thought would pump the markets, but ended up pumping the market to the tune of 1% on the S&P and a 2.3% reversal from the lows of, I think the war will be over soon. If that was enough, if we have an official declaration of we won the war is over, whether or not, that's actually true or not, yeah, I think market's going to pump like crazy. And so that means if you think this thing doesn't last for a long time, yeah, it probably is a buying opportunity. But the question becomes, do you trust that it's going to be over sooner than what people think? What did Trump say? For those that are just joining, Trump told a CBS reporter two things. He said, number one, the 4-week schedule we had is going ahead of schedule in terms of the expansion of the war. So he thinks it's going to end before the 4 weeks are up. Basically, it's going to end in less than a month. And then number two, he said, quote, I think the war will be over soon. And that was enough. That was enough to literally reverse the entirety of the losses we had today. I mean, yesterday we were down 2.5%, like ugly momentum to the downside. All of that flips. 659 to 678. I mean, it's just an incredible market that we are living in, but that is your flip. And if you bought anything over the past 12 hours, it likely has gone green on the day. Monday, March 9th, 4 p.m. We got a bunch of headlines to talk about. The stock market is once again closed. All right, we are done for the day. We are done for the day. S&P 500 from the depths of below 660 back up to 678. Just an unbelievable reversal. That is up 1% or about 0.86% on the day. Zeta goes green 1.3%. The Q's up 1.34. Bitcoin at Nebius, 6.28%, about a 10% reversal. NVIDIA, which was almost headed to 172 last night, 182.65. That's up 2.72%. Reddit couldn't end up going green on the day, but basically ended up flat. It was at 132. Now it's at 138. So not too bad for Reddit as that tries to get some more momentum to the upside into those 140s. Robinhood, 79.35. That was up 3%. Amcor, that was up 4%. Iren, which was down 5% on the day, now flipped up 5%. VG ended up going down 8% as soon as Trump tweeted what he tweeted, or not tweeted, but told the CBS reporter, because that means that gas prices probably will start coming down or oil prices will start to regulate. XLE, that one ended up going red on the day. Chevron, ExxonMobil, Next Decade, all of those going red as oil prices might not be as bad as people thought. Tesla, wow, Tesla, look at that. Almost a pump to 400 as we get into the close. Tesla was at 380. Tesla was at 380 earlier this morning. Everything high beta growth ended up pumping towards the end of the day. Even the Robinhood Ventures Fund ended up going green, up 5%, just based on that quote from Trump. Netflix, that was slightly down on the day. You had Novartis, that was up. Micron was at 350, ended at 389. SanDisk was green. I mean, across the entire world from these growth stocks, even in South Korea, you're seeing some more momentum. 588 on the SanDisk, that's up 11.64%. And then again, your private credit names also went slightly green, like BlackRock at 958. BlackRock was kind of getting a little scary this morning. I mean, you're not supposed to see an institution like that take these negative back-to-back 5% days. And I know it's down for the year, but it is nice to see that one flip. It's just, again, do you believe that this is real? BlackRock now down 11.74% on the day. And yes, unfortunately, Grab closed red at 396. Down 2 cents on the day. I don't know, guys. That one, again, I will say what I said in the morning. If you don't have the patience for it, at this point, you got to get out. And that is totally fine. If you do have the patience for it, this is when you continue to build a position. But at this point, they told you their guidance. They told you the numbers. It's up to the market to recognize if they think it's valuable. If not, stay stuck. If so, then there's probably other opportunities that are also out there. S&P 500, 678.17. That one, again, ending up 1% on the day. Let's pull up some more coverage of this CBS tweet because that's what's getting people excited. Also, Rubio's live, so we'll check out what he's saying, and then we'll get into all the other different AI headlines that we had throughout the day. So let's pull this up right here.
Highlights, and one of the sentences here is getting a lot of attention in the market. The president says, I think the war is very complete, pretty much. They have no Navy, no communications. They've got no Air Force. He added that the U.S. is very far ahead of his initial 4 to 5 week estimated time frame. Ouija reports also that asked about the new Iranian supreme leader who was appointed over the weekend and who Trump has openly criticized. The president told her, I have no message for him, none whatsoever. Zhang reports that Trump said he has someone in mind to replace Khamenei, but he did not elaborate. So as for the Strait of Hormuz, the president telling CBS News that ships are moving through it now, but he is, quote, thinking about taking it over. Trump says he's warning Iran here. He says they've shot everything they have to shoot and they better not try anything cute or it's going to be the end of that country. So these remarks, guys, as you look at them from CBS News, on the one hand, you see the president saying he thinks the war is complete or very complete, and he's way ahead of his time frame of 4 weeks or so. On the other hand, he's suggesting here to CBS News that he has someone in mind to replace the current supreme leader. So how do you square those two things? It doesn't seem possible to replace the supreme leader if the war is on, if the war is not ongoing. We'll see. The president has a schedule update. He's going to be giving a news conference down in Florida at 5:30 p.m. I'm told to wait for any clarity on all this until we hear from the president directly.
All right, Eamon, thank you. Eamon Javers in Washington with the very latest. And Mike, you and I were sitting here on the desk when those comments crossed, and it was amazing.
This is crazy, bro. This is literally like this market it does not stop surprising you. That quote from a CBS reporter was enough. It was just that quote was enough for these algos have lost their damn minds. They react to anything that's kind of good, and they react to anything that's kind of bad. And then they have these dramatic, I mean, last night we were down 2.5%. Today we reverse all of that, end up green 1%. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Do we have an earnings today? Do we have HPE? Oh, we do have earnings. I forgot. We do have earnings. Okay, HPE. Let's get those numbers. HPE. Oh, yeah, we do. We had the other one last week. I forgot. So HP. Let's see what numbers we got here. Also, Nebius, getting a headline right here, is potentially opening up a data center in Madrid. We know that they got the license to open up a data center in Missouri last week, which was good for them. I don't see the numbers yet on HPE, but that's up 3% after hours. So we'll see if that continues to get some momentum. But man, this CBS headline, that was enough. Remember we talked about in the morning that Trump is like calling all these random reporters, whether it's CBS, the New York Post, the Wall Street Journal, CNN, Fox, and giving them like 5-minute interviews. And that's how these quotes keep getting disseminated. Well, that's what we had today for CBS. And I guess it was a good enough quote, whether Trump intended it to be or not, or didn't intend it to be. And that's what's getting you your momentum. HPE losing those gains. It was up 5%. Now it's at 23. But now it's going kind of flat right here on the day. Palantir ended the day basically flat, 156.43. Still not a bad reversal from the lows of 150. Micron again up 5%. Paramount Sky actually had a bad day. That was down 6.6%. American Express also was up 1.52%. These were the top 20 stocks traded in the options market today. You had Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, Apple, and HIMS make your top 5. HIMS usually doesn't get there, but it was 503,000 contracts traded today. Then you had SoFi, Microsoft, Broadcom, Palantir to round out the top 10. American Airlines ended up there in your top 20, as that seems like one of the trades people are doing for oil reversal, because the airlines potentially should go up if oil goes down. Then you have Meta, AMD, Micron, MicroStrategy, Google, Netflix, Oxy, Bank of America, Ondas, which acquired another company today. That one ended down about 4%. And then Oracle, which has earnings tomorrow. And that's also going to be pretty important. Circle also had a great day as well, as that one potentially getting a little bit of a squeeze. I mean, we went from the morning where the news media was saying that we could have a draft for this war, as per Carolyn Levitt's comments. Circle up 10% of the day, versus the afternoon with Trump saying, yeah, the war is probably going to be over soon. I mean, it is unfreaking believable. But again, tomorrow you can have a headline that takes us down 2% on the S&P, and we're right back to where we were in the morning. So whenever we have these big explosive days, I think we need a couple more days to confirm it. But I mean, it is fun to go from extreme red to extreme green. It's just not fun when it flips to the opposite direction. But I'm pretty sure, I would imagine everyone's portfolio, given the size and the magnitude of the move towards the end of the day, probably ended green. HPE revenue, $9.3 billion. Looks like they beat on EPS at 31 cents, gross margins at 35.9%. Operating cash flow, $1.2 billion. That stock is up 1.3. Looks like you have a double beat. I don't see if they beat guidance or not, but it looks like they did beat revenue and EPS. And that stock is now green. Let's bring on a guest to the show and kind of get their thoughts on this reversal and how they are reacting to it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sam Solid.
Let's go.
Were you live when you saw the CBS tweet?
Yeah, no, I was, and I ended. I ended earlier, and I didn't even notice it. Like, I mean, when you're live, like, you don't really notice a lot of news coming out. You look at the audience, the chat, and like they say what happens. I'm like, wait, what? It was like someone just asking me earlier in the stream, should I buy USO puts? And I'm like, I don't know, man, because the IV's high. So if you do, you got to be getting the timing, and like, boom, it drops. I'm like, okay, well, don't take advice from me.
So when you saw everything flip, did you? So you needed the chat to tell you what was happening, because you didn't see that it was a CBS.
Well, I mean, I started around like 3:00, so the market was already recovering. But yeah, no, that big move up, I had no idea what was happening until someone commented in there, and then I pulled it up, and I was like, whoa. Like, he literally just said yesterday that, oh, we don't know how long this war is going to last. Like, we might last for a long time, and then Goldman Sachs, oil's going to $200, and all the fear. It was funny. It's like Mike Wilson, of all people, was actually saying that the market bottomed. And I wouldn't have expected that, because he usually is the resident bear. And dude's getting bullish. He's starting to dress like Dan Ives.
Yeah, Mike Wilson said this a couple hours ago. They said, we think the S&P 500 is likely closer to the end than the start of a rolling correction. But basically said if oil continues to be high, then, this could still get ugly.
Yeah.
But basically he was like, buy the dip. And this guy was a bear for the past couple years until he flipped. And now he's like, every time. I think he's one of the better analysts that is like, whenever Trump does something, just buy into it and don't complain.
I mean, he was notoriously popular for being bearish from like 2023 to like late 2024 until he flipped. And I think he lost like his head position at Morgan Stanley or something. I don't know if that actually happened or not, but that was a headline that I saw. And like he's been bullish ever since. And it's funny because that was like right before April too. So it was like great timing, Mike. But no, I mean, he's definitely like a very popular analyst out there. But he is bearish most of the time. And it is pretty interesting to see him be bullish all the time now. But yeah.
Okay, so I want to get your thoughts then on the actual substance of the quote. I mean, just straight up, do you believe that Trump is correct that the war might be over soon?
I literally have a whole spiel saying that he can't taco right now, and he tacoed. So
I don't know, or is he just saying it? Is it a legit taco, or it's like a hey guys, like just hold on?
I categorize him being a taco or tacoing as being affected by market, right? So he tacoed because he already has been concerned about it. He already said he was concerned a couple of days ago, but like he wouldn't say that unless he knew that there was going to be some sort of unprecedented effect to the stock market if he said that, right? But the funny thing is that, dude, remember Liberation Day? And I'm not saying this is Liberation Day. Remember, like the market ripped into the close Liberation Day, and then he had the conference afterwards, which he has a conference in an hour and a half, and then the market like fell. I don't think that's going to happen because he already tacoed. But it's interesting that he says this like right before the close that the war's almost over, and I don't know. It doesn't look like it's almost over, but maybe it is.
So, okay, wait, hold on. So how do you, because to push back against some of your claims, and I think these are fair. Someone right here says he can't taco for two reasons.
Yeah.
Israel's not going to stop, and the IRGC will declare victory.
Well, exactly. He can't taco because he's not able to taco in this situation. The Strait of Hormuz closure is the biggest reason why oil is up. Right. Of course, Iran's attacking or Israel's targeting like oil structures and everything. Like, okay, fine. That's like a Band-Aid, right? Or that's like a temporary, like hitting the leg, whatever. But closing the Strait of Hormuz is a pretty big deal. And even if he tacos, he can't tell Israel what to do. Right. I mean, he could come up with some crazy deal or anything, but like, dude, if they continue fighting, they're going to keep that strait closed. And if that strait stays closed, then that's going to keep the oil prices up. But I mean, this guy can work his magic. I mean, you never know what he's going to do.
Do you think there is a world in which Trump, after talking about regime change for the past couple of weeks, straight up says, I don't care anymore about regime change, and that's the taco, even though it would be perceived as like very bad for the United States to go in there, mess everything up, and then just say, we don't care anymore about it. But could that be the broader taco?
You were saying earlier, like, look, if they start to have some sort of open communication with the new Ayatollah, just some form of progress, the market's going to be like, let's go after that, right?
Yeah.
And the Ayatollah has every reason not to do that, right? But we don't know who this guy is. So, I would think that, that Trump wouldn't just say that unless he really believed that something was going to happen in his favor. Like, he doesn't like to flash his ace unless he kind of has an idea of what's going to happen. So I don't know, maybe under the hood, maybe there might be some sort of positive talk. And the war I don't even think the war needs to be over for us to reach all-time highs. There just needs to be some sort of shift from all of the negative headlines to back to positive headlines, and the market rallying on positive headlines, sustaining it. Because for a while it's been like positive headline, NVIDIA beats down, and then all this other stuff down, right? And then sell-offs down. And then if you get some sort of positive momentum off of good news, then that will flip the script, because the market generally bottoms when it rallies off of bad news.
Right.
And we probably had pretty bad news like over the weekend. And even before any of this stuff was announced, the S&P 500 or SPY bounced off the 200-day moving average last night. The Qs were below the 200-day moving average. Now close above. Look at that daily candle on the Qs. That is a massive bullish engulfing candle. Like, they do not want to let this thing fall. So
Dude, but
here's
the, I don't see how the markets can move on and hold this gain if, to your point, the Strait of Hormuz continues to be closed. The only way for it to be open, and not just like physically closed or metaphorically closed as people are talking about, but for Iranian hostility to completely let up and allow the natural flow of oil until that happens. Yeah. But that doesn't happen until they either get a deal, or Trump says we're ready to work with the Ayatollah, or Trump says we accept the regime that is in place. Or Trump potentially continues to, wage war and get rid of this Ayatollah to install a new one. Like, I feel like something monumental has to happen, whether it's an acceptance of this regime or a new regime that gets put in place. That the latter option requires more war. The first option requires the United States basically admitting that they're okay with the current regime, which just feels like a mess. I mean, it doesn't feel like any of that is logically coherent.
I mean, what do you think? Do you think the war needs to be over to reach all-time highs again?
Well, I think the Strait of Hormuz issue needs to be over. And I think for that to be over, yeah, to an extent, the war has to be over, right?
Or like completely over, or like completely open, or like heading there?
I mean, if they're going to keep fighting, then the Iranians are just going to keep being hostile at the Strait of Hormuz, unless the U.S. Navy comes in and literally says, no, we're going to keep this open. But then the war is still open. The war is still happening if the U.S. Navy is fighting off Iranian ships.
I mean, as long as there's no further escalation, then I think the market's fine with it. Because we've already seen the worst, right? Like, how long did that Israel-Iran war last? For a while. It wasn't like Israel and all of Iran. It was like Israel and I keep forgetting that area. And, apologies if I can't remember the name, but that didn't actually end for the market to continue rallying. So
that's fair.
We'll see. We'll see. Like, it just has to be like somewhat in the right direction, like positive headlines versus like negative headlines over and over again. And I think what we saw yesterday was like, dude, even before Trump said anything, the market bounced off of the worst news possible. And that generally signals bottom when that happens, because there's bad headlines and the market like drifts lower and drifts low and drifts lower. But you have to admit, there was a massive sell yesterday. And the fact that we closed green on the day is just, the last time I remember this happening was back in 2022 when we had the worst inflation print ever and the market closed green.
June.
Yeah, it was like somewhere around there. And actually, I think that was October. It wasn't the worst one, actually. It was a really bad one. It missed very widely. And if you have those scenarios, because what headlines, whatever the headlines are, I don't think the headlines really matter, because it's going to follow whatever the price happens. But when the price tells you that it had the worst open we've had in futures overnight and we closed green on the day, it doesn't seem like, guys, we're going to go down like another 10%. Like, something has to change. But besides that, like, it just looks like the market's okay with what's happening.
Well, I agree with all that, but I also think the reason we ended up going so green today is because oil fell off a cliff. But the reason oil fell off a cliff is because Trump said the war is ending soon. So I think that's still the linchpin. Just like when Trump officially took off the reciprocal tariffs, like there was an event that then caused the rally, that then caused the trend to the upside. I think that needs to happen here. And I don't know if after a week we're done, it's all over.
Well, actually, oil was basically flat.
No, it was still at 95. Trump said that.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at USO. Like, it basically already lost most of its gains before Trump made that announcement. But, someone always knows something when it comes to these things. But yeah, I'm sure someone knew something, and then the word spread around, and then the headline dropped, and that's when oil dropped. But yeah, no, there's no way we can have a sustainable rally with oil above $100 and staying there. Because if that stays above $100, then it's going to start pressuring supply chains and prices for goods and everything. And you're going to start getting like the CEOs and everyone start talking about oil in the conference calls. And that's when things just doesn't look good at a certain point. But if oil goes back, what's crude oil at right now? Yeah, crude oil.
Yeah, this headline in the morning about the strategic reserves was definitely also part of the reason why oil got
I posted about that one last night. And then it turned out that they're not ready to do that yet, which kind of makes sense. Like, that's like your ace right there. Like, you're not gonna release those reserves right now. Like, it's too early to say, because then they could release it too early, and then it might be worse later on. But I mean, to be
Okay,
honest, like,
before you
yeah.
continue, put in the chat what you guys think we close tomorrow on the S&P. Put a number. I'm really curious. Do people think we can have 2 green days in a row based off this CBS quote, or do we think we reverse? And Sam, also, I mean, I know it's hard to predict, but man, if you had to guess,
If
you
I
think we
had
break
to
680
guess,
tomorrow?
I think we close higher tomorrow, because just look at the price action today, and we don't have to close like material higher. But I do think that if oil continues to drift lower or stays here, I think that's enough relief for the market to be like, okay, let's go back up, or let's drift back up to where this all started. And well, Oracle reports earnings tomorrow, and I think that's another overhang in the market.
Oh, yeah.
So if Oracle, I don't know, it's kind of a double-edged sword for this one, because if they have higher RPO and they say it's because of OpenAI, the market might not react to it. They go lower with RPO, the market's gonna be like, oh, look, we told you, sort of thing. It's just so difficult to know with these things. But the AI trade is not over. Like, I don't think that this just prolongs it. If anything, when you close a straight of your Morse, but I don't think that that's over. Like, this isn't going to stop AI. It's just going to prolong it.
Look at this tweet, bro. Got 1 million views. This is the tweet, folks, that moved the market. I hope one day I could have a tweet like that that literally moves trillions of dollars.
You do have 1 million plus view tweets.
No, yeah, but I've never had a tweet where Trump told me that everything's okay. Like, I've never had it.
You never know, dude.
Like, you never know. You never know. But this is the tweet right here. This is the quote. I think the war is very complete. Pretty much, they have no Navy, no communications. They've got no Air Force. That's it. And that is why we ended up green on the day. Okay, Sam, let's get into some other topics because I definitely want to pick your brain on some stuff. First of all, a stock that you had a fling with for a while, HIMS. What are your thoughts on this thing coming back to
dude
momentum?
I don't know what to say with this one. I mean, I think we already saw the short squeeze, but it got pretty low to the point where like people who are Omega HIMS bulls like started selling their positions. And, you know, I think it's totally fine to sell your position, even if it's at the lows. Like, who cares? Like, I think a lot of people give people crap for doing that. And like, what? You're not supposed to change your mind? That Serenity guy?
But hold on. It is kind of funny seeing the capitulation of people that sold it. It is kind of funny because the reason they sold was that Novo and Dudum taking on Novo was like a recipe for disaster. The stock stuck. And then 2 weeks later, Novo's like, yeah, we concede to Dudum. And then boom. Seriously. Like, it's kind of crazy how the market works out sometimes, right?
I just think it's like, it's crazy how you just got, it's not even just the market capitulated or people capitulated, but like even like Novo Nordisk capitulated. And I guess Novo needs it that bad that they need to be selling on HIMS to distribute their drugs to some US platform at scale, right? So yeah, I mean, you could buy here, Nate, and you'll be back to where you were before.
Yeah,
if
Nate,
you want
could
to,
literally buy where you sold as if nothing happened. And that's how crazy this move was.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. And you know, the funny thing is that if it goes back to $50, I think Antonio Leonardo is going to have the last laugh with this. Like he's going to have the last laugh with everything. Like, and I think it's, if it happens, like that's just going to be the most funniest thing. I'm not going to long HIMS. I'm good. But like, that would be very funny if it ran up all the way over there on $50.
He increased his consulting from 15,000 to 25,000 an hour. You know,
I don't know if he's trolling or not.
He's definitely not. This is definitely a live website. I don't know if anyone's actually paid for it, but I don't think he's trolling.
I mean, he's obviously not oblivious to like all the stuff that's happening, right? Like, I just think the fact that he's doing this stuff, I think he has an idea of what impact that's going to have if he posts about it. And I think he's using it. He's using it to his advantage. And hey, man, that's good marketing if he's doing that.
It's definitely marketing. But okay, so in general, you said the squeeze already happened. Really? Do you think this 40% day was the squeeze?
I think the squeeze already happened. Now it could probably drift higher, but like a 40% move is no joke. And you've had plenty of time the whole day for people to cover their shorts. Now, some people could still be short, but that dramatic squeeze is what we already saw. And then whatever happens after today. But when was it? They had a lawsuit like around $44. So if they're supposed to partner again, then they reaccelerate revenue and all this stuff, right? In the next quarter, or if they give out some sort of commentary, right, then that could be people trying to get back in, like, hey guys, the game is back on. But I don't know, man. To be honest, the CEO did already comment on a short squeeze before, and that was kind of like raspy that he did do that. And it's kind of different because if you think of Palantir, like, look, that's an amazing software company, right? And he's always commented on it before the short squeeze or not. So like, it is what it is. But like with that one, it was like a little bit different, like right when it happens. And then he sold after that. And I was just like, that kind of sucks that you do something like that as a CEO. So, all the power to people who are still holding it. Go ahead. I mean, if it goes up, the point is to make money, right? So like, who cares how you make the money? You just make the money.
I don't have a position in this, but I do think the squeeze might not be over. However, I do agree with you. We should have seen a bigger move because this 40% was basically what we saw Friday night. And I know, we had a whole day for people to cover, but we should have seen a larger move if all 40, or even if like 20% of the 40% short were covering, and we didn't. Yeah. So I do wonder if that squeeze to 30 is still possible.
I mean, we'll see if software really comes back. Today wasn't the best move for the software semiconductor ratio, because you had semiconductors up 4% today, and then you had software basically flat today, which is really interesting to see considering that you didn't get that follow through on it. But HIMS is a software platform. So, if we get some sort of recovery still in software, then it could probably make its way back to like 35, 40 bucks. I wouldn't be surprised because that short pressure on the market, you've already gotten rid of a massive bear case with HIMS, and that's losing the agreement and being in litigations from Novo Nordisk. They already got rid of that generic knockoff of Novo Nordisk Wegovy. So then they don't have to worry about the FDA anymore. And now if they have this partnership again, then that's more revenue through the top line, right? So maybe this thing's going back to 40 bucks.
Let's talk software. What is your software exposure out of all the names that got hit?
ServiceNow, Rubrik, and Zeta.
Let's talk about
bought. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, we haven't talked about Rubrik in a while. Do you like this at 57? You think this is still valuable?
Yeah. So I don't like to buy falling knives, and it doesn't look like it's a falling knife anymore. The daily chart looks a lot better. It's above the EMAs in the daily, which is good to see. IGV looks like it might have bottomed recently. Yeah, Nate is right with the Zeta. But when it comes to Rubrik, there's endpoint security client, or there's endpoint client management, or I forget the exact acronym is for that one. And there's network security, so your Palo Alto and your Zscaler. So endpoint is more CrowdStrike's down the one, and then data security is more on Rubrik. And there's a company that NVIDIA had some funding with a while ago, about like, not like a big funding round, but they're partially invested in them. And then there's also Commvault as well, also in the data security portion. But Rubrik they're also expanding more into agentic AI security as well, governing permissions for AI agents, which is going to be extremely crucial when you think about it. Having these agents with unlimited access to so many things in an organization is probably not going to tread lightly for a lot of companies that are very big in compliance. So,
and you think it got sold off with AI in general, not because it is going to get commoditized by Anthropic or something.
Yeah, no, it's trading at a 7 times EV/NTM on a forward sales basis. So it traded when it was $100, it was at 15. And it's actually trading as cheap as it's been trading when around the time they IPO'd, around 30, 40 bucks. And the fundamentals are arguably a lot better because analysts are estimating for them to be at a $2 billion revenue by the end of next year. So if they have like a couple of years to actually, no, I think it's 1 year to get there. And they're growing at like 40%, they're going to supersede that estimate, which means that they're going to have to re-rate the stock higher in order to do that. But yeah, I mean, it was mostly because of the software sell-off, and that's why ServiceNow sold off and everything. And I already tell people I'm never going to catch the bottom with these stocks. Like I don't want to keep buying like a stock as it's trending down. I like to buy the recovery after that. And it looks like these stocks might have recovered. And they report on Thursday, and I think the bar is set pretty low in terms of surprising to the upside when it comes to this company, especially if software continues to build momentum back. Like I feel like with a lot of these software stocks, how suppressed their valuations are, if the market is still bullish and the IGF software ETF comes back, most of these software companies, the ones that are actually good, not like trash software companies, are going to continue to see upside in this scenario. And they're especially going to surprise when it comes to earnings reactions.
Yeah, I think you're right on this. And I also think a lot of these software names, unfortunately, like a Shopify, they all got hit for no reason.
Yeah.
Based on this Anthropic threat. Trump is not live yet, guys. He's supposed to be live at 5:30, but apparently there's a live stream set up for him to go live, I guess, in a couple of minutes. Trump delivers remarks to the Republican members' issues conference. This might be different than his 5:30 stream, but if he does go live, then or this might be the same one. They just put up the live stream early, then we'll transition to that. I'm seeing another headline right here, trying to get confirmation on it. But apparently Trump talked with Putin this morning. Russian presidential aide says, quote, "This evening, the presidents of Russia and the United States held a telephone conversation. Trump called Putin to discuss severely extreme important issues related to the current international situation. The main focus was on the situation surrounding the conflict with Iran and the trilateral negotiations on a settlement in Ukraine. I will say right away that the conversation was businesslike, frank, and constructive. They had not spoken by phone for quite some time. The last time was at the end of December, and today's conversation lasted for an hour." I mean, that continues to be decent news if we're going for this whole idea that things are going to end soon, based on what Trump is saying. So maybe some of that diplomacy also working out in his favor. Okay, so your long Rubrik, Zeta, and ServiceNow in the software space. In the semi space, is your exposure continues to be on, and that's kind of your
I still have exposure to On Semiconductor. I was trimming that one when it was like around the $70 range, mostly because like I reaped so much upside in it, so I need to kind of diversify a little bit there. And I trimmed Amcor when it was like $56 or $55 or something. Still holding my core position in there. Not going to sell that one. I did start a position in Marvell again this morning. That was an interesting one. I would say check out the earnings call on that one because first of all, they've already been like a baby Broadcom sort of, right? So they design ASIC chips for Meta, Amazon, or AWS, as well as Microsoft. But I think the biggest beneficiary in this case is going to be AWS, right? So AWS, you already know they're going to be investing a lot into their custom silicon. But also what was interesting was that they're getting into the optics space. We already know that the optics space when it comes to semiconductors is obviously having a massive bullish run.
I want to, before you continue, I want to get your thoughts on this photonics, because we've started talking about it over the past couple of days. Obviously, a lot of stocks, AAOI, Light, Coherent. I can't believe those two got into the S&P 500. Like, that was a big wake-up call to the entire industry. I also don't know how the hell EchoStar, they're not profitable.
I don't understand that one either.
Like I looked at their balance sheet today. I was like, they don't make money. How do they? So the fact that SoFi didn't get in with it is kind of crazy. But yeah, do you think this photonics thing is real, or is it a lot of hype in terms of the momentum of these stocks?
I mean, the price action could be hype. But what's more important, though, is the sentiment amongst the sector is very important. So when you think about Ethernet cables, you basically have copper and electricity running through the copper, connects to your computer, laptop, whatever it is, between different servers and everything. And that travels off the speed of electricity moving through it, the electric current. Your zeros and ones, whether electricity is on or it's off, zeros and ones. When you think about fiber, or in this case, optics, it's based running off light, which is the fastest form of transmitting anything across any medium that we have right now. So, you're in New Jersey, so Verizon Fios fiber technology, right? So it's basically glass enclosed in a wire, and it runs off of lights on and off, right? So this is where the optics come in, being able to travel along that medium. So that means faster inference queries, right? Because you're transmitting data faster. Broadcom, Astera Labs, and Marvell Technology were already in the networking sector. But if they start contributing more toward the optics solution, then they could become another layer of this entire stack. And the thing is that Broadcom isn't exactly the cheapest stock out there. And Marvell has always been like the baby Broadcom for a while, lagging a lot, whatever. But then when you have a confident CEO on earnings call, you have great guidance, you have continued on to the upside, and then dropping terms in the conference call that has to do with like everything the market wants to hear, the market might be trying to pile into this thing. So I got in this one around like $90 this morning. And, of course, never going to catch the bottom. I'm never going to catch the bottom of that thing. But if we do have this continued momentum to the upside, even on a technical basis, the chart looks amazing. Dude, what is going on over there? Your camera.
We're talking about light, dude. We were talking about light.
Oh, you did it on purpose? All right.
No, I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just every day around this time, the sun peeks in through one of the blinds. Dude, but it is gorgeous on the East Coast. It's like 60 degrees today. It is.
Yeah.
I took a walk today. I mean, I'm so happy that we're done with the cold. Hopefully, I don't know if this is going to last, but yeah, it was definitely really fun. Okay, so in terms of these photonics plays that NVIDIA invested in, I hear your bull case. Do you think Light and Coherent and these names are proxies for bottlenecks inside of the AI supply chain, which is essentially what SanDisk and Micron are, but it feels like they're way more important than these photonics plays. So do you think of them as like memory plays, or do you think of them as something much deeper?
I don't think they're a bottleneck, but I do think they're going to facilitate faster transactions, which is what we kind of are going toward, right? So then there's the fact that they're building data centers around the world to be able to get that processing closer to people and servers and companies, right? And then it's all about increasing the speed, right? So increasing the amount of data that travels through the highway and how fast it's traveling through the highway. And that was the idea behind Cloudflare and DigitalOcean as far as edge computing, and even StockTalk, who's in a few companies, also are involved in that one. And in fact, one of those companies that's doing really well for him, VIAV, is involved in the optics play. So he's been ahead of the curve at that one. And Marvell is like a very popular stock, but then now that it's like getting into this trend of optics, which AAOI closed at, I think, an all-time high again today, right? Like this thing has more room to run. So if this entire sector moves up, and it was great to see NVIDIA green today, very green today, then this is going to move along with it. Now, there's going to be another bottleneck later on, and the money will start to shift there. But I think right now it is optics.
But to see that's the scary part, which is that memory. It looks like that bottleneck's going to last for at least a couple of years. Do you think optics has a multi-year runway to last? Because as soon as that kind of isn't perceived as lasting, we've seen what happens.
Well, we see what happens, but I think if you're talking about like, okay, name me a sector in semiconductors that is like massively underperforming after what a massive bull run. From what I've seen is that they've all sustained their bull runs, but like not at the rapid momentum that we've seen for a while. Like Micron might not double from here, but it's probably, if as long as semiconductors continue to go up, it's probably going to go up as well. Same thing with SanDisk, right? But for these to fall off a cliff, you need some sort of micro event to bring it down, or you need the whole sector to go down.
Right.
And that's why you saw your SanDisk and your Micron pull back like 10, 15, 20%, because all of stocks was going down while software was outperforming. And even on semiconductor was at like $55 this morning, and it closed near $60. Right? Look at Amcor, it was below 30, it was below $40 last night. Right. But it's continued to move up because semiconductors up again. I feel like some of these semiconductors, like some of them can outperform more than other ones at any given time. And I think right now the story is clearly optics. And I think that might continue to be the story for a little bit. And when that's no longer the story, it's probably not going to go up like 20% every single day, but it's still going to be up because that's still part of the entire supply chain.
Is the data center story still hot? Iran, Nebius, or these names?
We'll find out tomorrow.
What, because Oracle? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Oracle. We'll find out tomorrow. I mean, a lot of it is largely dependent on that. Iran was like at $34 last night. That was crazy.
Are you bearish on this 6 billion ATM, or is just part of the?
I don't know why people are surprised. I said this all the time. Like, this is not a cheap project that they're doing. Like, they're going to raise capital. I didn't know it was going to be 6 billion, but at the same time, it's like, well, the company's guiding for like annualized revenue run rate of around $4 to $5 billion. So I didn't listen to these spaces they had with Dan Roberts, co-CEO, last night. Shout out to Franz on that one. But if this is like a one-time capex for the next couple of years, because they're not gonna flood the entire market with dilution now. It's an option for them to do it at any time, but now they just have the right to do it. Then, like, what if that's the last dilutive event in multi-billions of dollars in excess for some time? Then what's it between raising 6 billion now, getting approved for 6 billion now versus getting approved for 1 billion, and then a few months 1 billion, 1 billion, 1 billion? Like, what's the difference? Like, this is the entire sector that you are going to have to raise a lot of capex, and it's not going to stop until they reach a sustainable growth in their cloud business.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And Nebius is at to dilute as well. It's just more so a question of can they generate an ROI from that. We got some more quotes. Iran deputy foreign minister to state TV. Some countries, including China, Russia, and France, have contacted us regarding a ceasefire. Our first condition for a ceasefire is no further aggression.
There you go.
I mean, that might be what Trump was kind of implicitly referring to when he said the war will be over very soon. He's trying to speak from a American side of like strength and like, hey, we're going to win. But he also might be implicitly implying that the Iranians are ready to, you know, have a ceasefire.
I mean, this reminds me of after Liberation Day where he like did the big taco on Wednesday and the market shot up. Like this kind of looks like not as crazy where it was like a 10% move, but man, that was a big move. And those moves don't happen without some sort of underlying change of conditions. And like, come on, like VIX is at 25 from 35. What's going to happen today that's going to make VIX go above 35 again?
No, you're right. The event to get it to 35 was last night with oil, and that's not probably happening again. But again, it's confusing if you leave the current Ayatollah in place. And I don't think that Ayatollah is ready to just like, yeah, women don't have to wear their hijabs anymore, right? Like, so if the whole point was to liberate the people and have them rush to take over their capital, like that's not happening. If a ceasefire happens and there's like a negotiated cooperation, it's not the type of regime change that Trump essentially told the American people that we were going for.
Dude, money talks. Like, the money talks to these people. So you throw some bills at them, whatever it is, like they're going to make that deal. And I think that seeing some progression or optimism is probably the best bet you're going to get right now. And then maybe it'll lead there, maybe it won't. But the market right now is like, we're cool with this right now. So back to business, I guess.
Yeah. And again, for the people saying it was never about that, that's a fair point. I'm just quoting what Trump said. And that first video that he put out, he spent a good 2 minutes talking about, you know, liberation and democracy and all that stuff. Obviously, if that's not what mattered, then that's not what mattered. But then I think we would also have to get explicit admissions that the nuclear program has been dismantled. I think that would be the first thing they would ask for, to stop enriching uranium and completely dismantle the entire program. I mean, I don't know. Is this new Ayatollah ready to give up that much of a concession?
I don't know when it comes to that, because right now it's just trust me, bro. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if this continues back and forth with this nuclear enrichment facility in Iran for a long time. Like, I don't think it'll be like, all right, we're done now. Like, it could just be back and forth for the next like 4 years and we're hitting new all-time highs in the market. Right. But the point is at the start of the conversation. So if they have any talk about settling on any deal when it comes to nuclear, which is the whole reason why Trump said we were there in the first place, then that's it. It's over. Right. In fact, the fact that they're going to be possibly opening up the communication for de-escalating the war and conflict is already the end right there. It's the end of the war, or at least in the market size, it's the end of the war, because the market's probably cool with it.
Bloomberg running with the headline, Trump saying the U.S. war is over. So you're now getting a lot of the media to run with this quote, which is only going to further potentially help the market move past what we're seeing right now. Yeah. By the way, guys, there's Sam's Twitter. Please make sure to follow him and check him out on Twitter. He goes live every day at 2:45 p.m. Eastern, which is now an hour early for people across the world. But dude, make sure
I'm surprised we didn't get like a tweet from Bill Ackman this whole time. Like, I was waiting for like a whole novel to be written from that guy this whole time. We didn't get we went through all of this without a single Bill Ackman tweet.
Yeah, we did get a lot of retweets from him, but yeah, he didn't write a novel. Yeah, USO right there, up 51% as it was down 4% of the day. Sam, let's get your thoughts on some individual stocks. Amazon. Yeah. I know you love this name. Do you continue to love this name?
I continue to love this name. I might trim this name at some point, maybe this year. It's too big.
Dude, that was so funny. Big. I continue to love this name. I might trim this.
Yeah, name. But like it's Amazon's not going to make a double. So if we're trying to outperform, like at some point, I gotta I gotta trim Amazon.
You're trying to trim. I don't know how
else.
much you love it though, right?
I love it, but like, dude, like, come on, I'm here to make money. Like, I'm not gonna. I need to have so much portfolio in Amazon just for Justice. It's like, dude, Justice doesn't put food on the table.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, in my household, it doesn't.
CoreWeave. Thinking of starting a position on this dip or no?
Nah, I already got Nebius. I don't need to. But if my best bet is that CoreWeave is not going to fall, like I'll be very surprised if CoreWeave goes to 0 and like we continue to be in a bull market for AI. Like I'd just be very surprised. I don't think Sam Altman or OpenAI or NVIDIA or Jensen Huang's to let that happen.
Dude, they have 70 billion in backlog. It's hard to say they're going to go to 0.
Yeah.
But obviously the business model is in question from a lot of people. Are you in Broadcom or no? Or is Marvell your exposure?
No, Marvell's my exposure. I was in Astera Labs before, and I did trade Broadcom before. But I have no interest. I'll focus more on the mid caps. Marvell is not even a small company either. They're a pretty big company.
Intel right there. That was up 5% of the day. Yeah, no, that is true. I mean, it's not a small company at all.
That had an interesting bounce today, Intel.
Well, it's been stuck between 40 and 50 for a while.
Yeah, but that bounced right off the 100-day moving average. And it closed right at the 20-day. Some of these charts have really good technical setups for a trade. And Intel is still arguably bullish on the chart.
Joby getting a pump. Joby begins U.S. operations in 2026. Joby's up 6% right there under White House air taxi program.
Back about $10. Yahtzee.
Okay, there we go. Melly. Are you long this name?
Yeah, I still have position Melly. It doesn't make sense to me why it gets sold off so much when it's importance in Latin America, but it's just not where the money is right now. So I'm cool with that one. It's not a massive position anymore as much as it used to when it was like $2,400.
If you had to buy between Meta and Amazon, I'm assuming your answer right now would be Meta.
No, I buy Amazon.
You buy Amazon over Meta, but you like Meta though. You have this one.
No, I have a position in Meta. I would rather, I would feel more confident in Amazon because, well, Meta can just turn off a lever and they could be cash flow positive again, and so can Amazon. But Amazon has actual application for all the infrastructure they're building out. Meta is solely for ads and their internal processes. And he talked about possibly renting out the compute, which I just don't see happening for Meta. But you know, it's still very relevant. I mean, if there's an ad tech play, and I quote tweeted you earlier on it, Reddit is starting to seem pretty interesting. I don't like the chart. But if we do get a bit of a comeback above 150, that might look a little bit more attractive. I am surprised that even if the market comes back, like this one's still down here, but we've seen what Reddit has done so many times. Like I've traded this stock twice already, and I have a pretty good idea of how this thing moves. And it usually is like a late reaction to its massive pump. But when this thing runs, it runs hard. I
agree. It's just when you put Reddit up against Meta, like unless you're going for super high beta, Meta is the better advertising play.
Oh,
like there's nothing that unique about Reddit as an advertising play outside of potentially their valuation compared to Meta, which again, you know, it's your risk appetite when it comes to those two. But I mean, you're right. When it runs, it definitely runs.
It does.
Yeah. I did a deep dive on them at 230. Valuation wasn't compelling. I don't know how much the valuation has become compelling here compared to a Meta. So I do think it has to be put up against some of the other advertising plays that are still getting sold off. Trump is not live yet, guys, but the stream has started. So when he does go live, we'll transition to him. Right now, Mike Johnson. Oh, never mind. Trump is live. All right. Sam, you want to stay and watch? If not, then you can.
Stick around for a little bit longer.
Okay. Again, please make sure to follow Sam. I'm putting his YouTube in the description, and let's see what Trump has to say. Okay, we're gonna turn the music off so YouTube doesn't ban the stream. But the typical what is the name of that song? I've heard it so many times. Not to be an American, I think.
Yeah, I like that. It's like that song.
Oh, God bless the USA. God bless the USA.
Yeah, that song and like If I Was a Millionaire or something. Like I feel like that's like the same song, just like with different lyrics. Because like just, these songs, like when I saw this happening, like I didn't think that song was playing in the background.
Me, I thought they were just clapping and. Like,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's still playing. Okay, there you go. I was gonna show you guys an AI video made by ByteDance's model, but I guess we'll wait to show you that since Trump is live. But it was like a 2-minute video. It's almost like a little movie that they created. It's crazy to think how good AI is getting.
It's insane.
Yeah, is he just gonna stand there?
Just sitting there the whole time. So much winning.
Bro, is he actually just standing and letting people clap? Like,
this guy's so obsessed with himself. It's so funny. Oh,
okay, here we go.
A lot of friends. Sit down. We have a little time. Just everybody. Thank you very much. And to our great speaker, Speaker Johnson. And hello to the men and women of one of the most consequential Republican majorities in history. It's not a big majority, but it's just about the most consequential. The job you've done is incredible. And they are members that are warriors and really people that are for the American people. And that's why you're doing well. And I think that's why we're going to continue to do well. We're fighting a little tradition. You know, historically, the person that wins, Democrat or Republican, wins the presidency. For whatever reason, it doesn't work out. But we've done a lot. I don't know. I think we had the best first year of any president ever. And that includes you. You came along with me and you made it happen. So with your help and hard work, we're making America great again, and we're doing it much faster than we thought. And it's better, stronger, and our country is doing really well. I mean, at a level that nobody thought. We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil. And I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. How good is our military, right? Amazing.
Once again, Trump saying short term, so continuing from his comments earlier in the day.
Next term, we rebuilt our military, and I didn't know I'd be using it so much in the second term, but we have a military like no other. It's not even close. But I especially want to recognize the rest of our amazing House Republican leadership team and so many of my friends that are congressmen, some senators. We have some great people in this room. But including Majority Leader, a real brave guy, because I know the real story. I was there that night with him in the hospital when he was given a very small chance of living by a doctor who was very good, by a wife who was desperately in love with him. She cried so much. Because I've seen the other two. I've seen guys at the end of the line, the wives aren't exactly shaken up. When they don't cry, when they have no tears or any sign of tears, this is not a good sign of a great marriage. But he must have a great marriage because she was just devastated. She was going to lose her guy. But it worked out that the doctor said more blood was put into him than he's ever seen. He was in big trouble. I looked at him that night and I said goodbye to him, but he made it. He was brave, and look at the way he fought back from so many different things. Steve Scalise. A record. This is over 20 million. This is that's the biggest of these type of events that there's ever been by a lot. You know, you didn't just break it; you broke it by a lot. So I want to congratulate you. But there's just great spirit. The Republican Party has fantastic spirit. The level, I don't think, has been seen before. I really don't. We have to get a couple of people on board, which in at least one case is virtually impossible. I wonder who that might be. A sick person. But I want to say a very special thanks to everyone at the Congressional Institute for helping organize this event. This has been amazing. And over the past 9 days, we've been reminded of how vital our Republican majorities are. And it's, it's America's future. We're really fighting because these people, you saw the other night at the State of the Union, you saw these people. They wouldn't stand for a mother who just lost her daughter by having her throat slit from behind. They wouldn't stand for the helicopter pilot who just got the Congressional Medal of Honor for landing safely in Venezuela, a helicopter with a lot of soldiers on that helicopter. And he was able to land it safely, and his leg was practically ripped off. And for those people that know about helicopters, you land them pretty much with your legs, right, Tom? You land him with the legs, and he was in bad shape, and he got it. He got that. Not only landed, he landed in exactly the right spot at exactly as blood was pouring down the aisle, which didn't make all of those soldiers in the back feel too good. They're looking at a pilot who's bleeding out. But they didn't want to stand for that. They didn't want to stand for a 100-year-old soldier who had left a legacy of bravery. Everybody talked about it for years, and it was time for him to get the Congressional Medal of Honor. They didn't want to stand for him. There's something wrong with those people, and we can't let them ever be in a position where they can lead this country again or destroy this country again, because we almost lost this country. This country was close to being lost. The representatives in this room provided the pivotal votes in securing a record $1 trillion for the United States military this year. And now the world is witnessing the importance of that investment with one of the most complex and stunning operations ever conducted. And that's Operation Epic Fury. That's a great name, isn't it? Epic Fury. That's even better than Midnight Hammer, which was pretty good too, right? That was where we knocked out their nuclear potential. That was a big day, because if we didn't do that, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks. And I think we'd be in a lot different situation. And then you had, of course, what they did in Venezuela, how that was just so far so good. We've done a real job. We've got all good ones. If you go back and you look at Afghanistan with Biden, one of the worst, I think the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. If you look at what happened with Jimmy Carter, with Iran, but if you look at what happened with the helicopters and the hostages, it cost them the election. It was what a mess. The world respects us right now more than they have ever respected us before. And because of Republicans, you people in Congress, the United States has by far the strongest and most powerful military on the face of the earth. We're the strongest military anywhere in the earth. And now everybody understands it. Together with our Israeli partners, we're crushing the enemy in an overwhelming display of technical skill and military force. Iran's drone and missile capability is being utterly demolished. The Navy is gone. It's all lying at the bottom of the ocean. 46 ships. Can you believe it? In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them? They said, it's more fun to sink them. I said, they like sinking them better. They say it's safer to sink them. I guess it's probably true. But think of it, we knocked out 46, it actually took 3.5 days. Their terrorist leaders are gone. We're counting down the minutes until they will be gone. Think of it, we had leaders and they're gone. Then we had new leaders and they're gone. And now nobody has any idea who the people are that are going to be the head of the country, and will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated. And remember, Iran did so many bad things. They were really, if you look at Soleimani, who was taken out, as you know that, but you know who. But if you look at Soleimani, the father of the roadside, you call it a roadside bomb because most people don't understand the different terms. It was where they plant bombs in roads as you drive by, happily drive by, the bomb goes off, and no matter how strong the armament, it just kills the people. Or you lose your arms, legs, and face. And those bombs got worse and worse, and he got happier and happier.
All right, you've been listening to President Trump speaking at the Republican Members Conference in Doral, Florida.
All right. I mean, we can go back to the White House live stream here, but essentially, Trump not really saying anything that different than what he's already said. Let's pull this back up here and see if we get anything else. But continuing to brag about how the war is going.
So much winning.
And worse, and he got happier and happier. We took him out. That was a big thing because he was the head. It might have been a much different story. They may have been much more capable than they are had he lived, because he was capable. He was vicious, violent, and capable. But we got rid of him first term. And we did so many things. I mean, we've done so many things. But as you know, on Saturday, I traveled to Dover Air Force Base to be with the families of 6 fallen warriors as they returned to American soil. And I know that everyone in this room joins me in sending our prayers and eternal gratitude to the families of those great heroes. Those families are incredible families. Devastating to be. Hardest thing to do. You know, I've done it a lot. The hardest thing to do is to go to Dover, because Dover is where, for the most part, a lot of the fallen, the warriors, the great young people that have died in war, they seem to mostly go to Dover. They come home to Dover. Dover does a great job of handling things. They have men assigned to the family. They have men and women that are incredible, assigned to the families. It's a beautiful thing, but it's also a very sad thing. But they all said one thing to me: make sure you win, sir. Make sure you win. They weren't playing games. They want to make sure. They said it. Everybody said it. They were separate, but everybody said the same thing: make sure you win. We will. We've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. We go forward more determined than ever to achieve ultimate victory that will end this long-running danger once and for all. 47 years, it should have been done a long time ago. The world would have been a different place had some president had the courage to go and do it. They should have done it many, many times. They had many opportunities. The United States of America is the greatest and most exceptional nation in human history, and will not be threatened by evil terrorists and lunatics any longer. We just can't do that. And, you know, when I always talk about how great our nation is, I don't know. I don't consider our nation very great for 4 years under Biden. We were a laughingstock all over the world. We were a laughingstock. So, you know, I say great, great, great. But I don't know. When you look at what happened with so many different things, the open border, 25 million people, many of them very bad people pouring into our country with open borders that just said, come on in, come on in. Makes no difference. They emptied their jails into our country. 11,888.
Okay, so he's going more into the talking points of his term. I mean, those were kind of the key points on the Iran stuff. We'll see if we get any more quotes from it, but at its core, nothing too different than what he's been saying over the past couple of days, outside of a couple of mentions of we're already winning, we're going to keep winning, and he did explicitly say, you know, we are close to ending the mission. Sam, any reaction from that? You think the markets are going to care about, or it's just kind of consistent with what he said earlier today?
Dude, he's just talking. And I thought there was going to be some sort of announcement here, but no, he's just bragging.
Yeah. At this point, it seems like he was going back into kind of campaign mode. There are all Republicans where he's talking to right now. So it's kind of like it's called the Republican Members Issues Conference. So in this case, I don't know if we're going to get any major updates in terms of what he's talking about with Iran. All right, we got a couple other headlines. Let's go through those. And then again, if we get any quotes from Trump, we'll still talk about them. There are explosions that apparently are being heard in Tehran right now. And you're getting some Reuters quotes about powerful explosions in jets heard overhead in Tehran, and no confirmation on if that was a strike or not. But you are getting a couple of those quotes coming in after hour. Also, U.S. Energy Secretary right after hour said oil export ban not being considered to curb prices. We talked about the Iranian deputy foreign minister talking about some countries have reached out about a ceasefire. And then Wolfspeed, I don't know if people are in this name, but they are selling about 33 million shares of stock in a filing, which is why that stock's down 4%.
Of course they are. This is one of On Semiconductor's competitors.
Dude, didn't Wolfspeed go bankrupt?
Yeah, they declared bankruptcy. They said they were going to declare bankruptcy, but they didn't actually go bankrupt. I don't think, but
Oh,
that's
right.
why I
No,
didn't.
you're
Yeah,
right. You're right.
that's why I
They-
didn't invest in them, because they're not even like close to profitability, and they're just burning cash.
Yeah, they actually didn't end up filing for Chapter 11. All right, couple last quick headlines, and then we'll be out of here. I did want to show people this because I thought this was crazy. AI is getting better and better and better. So this is one of ByteDance's newest models. There's a 3-minute video of essentially a movie clip, and this is the worst it's ever going to be.
Jesus Christ.
You're from the app? Authentic Hands?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So the robots usually do everything, but my husband's investors are coming for dinner tonight, and I need you to make it look imperfect, like a real person did it, but not messy. You understand?
I'll do my best.
Our Q3 projections show another 15% margin expansion due to workforce optimization.
That sounds like a solid plan.
This new AI agent system, we can lay off 3 middle managers per department. Company runs twice as fast. Easy.
Perfect. It looks alive. I tipped you in the app. 5 stars.
Thank you.
What did you do before this? The app said you were previously in corporate.
Say yes. Product director.
Oh. The market's tough.
Yeah. Welcome to our home.
Okay, no one said it was an interesting movie, and the script definitely sucks. But the point is, I mean, if this is what it looks like right now, these definitely look like real people. It definitely looks like he's actually cutting the bushes, and the voice definitely was a little off, and the lip sync wasn't as good. But man, it's likely going to get better and better and better as this continues to improve. So this whole idea of generating AI content, I definitely think is a tailwind for the Netflixes of the world. It's just, will it be interesting enough for people to care about? This was, I think, one of the better videos that came out today in the world of AI. You officially have Figure, ironically, where we're talking about humanoid robots today, cleaning an entire living room autonomously. This is their Figure 3. And it's going to start doing very specific things as it cleans. Now, again, I still think we're far away from robots becoming mainstream, but it is pretty cool to see this happen. And again, they have a partnership with Brookfield as well, which gives them a lot of training data on homes and the ability to operate and navigate behind them.
Oh,
what were you going to say?
If I did that, my wife would flip out. Like spraying Febreze, like right next to the plates on the table, like she would flip out. Not cool, man.
Do you do the dishes? Because our boy Chris said he's never done the dishes.
I only do. We don't use dishwasher here.
Dude, I was like, Chris, what do you mean you've never done the dishes?
I do dishes all the time.
I mean, look, I think the robots are far away from being productive, but it's pretty cool to know that it has to pick up the toys from the bed, adjust the pillows.
Is this all AI? Like it's figuring out what to do based on what it sees, or is this like programmed? I mean, it's not programmed to make those moves. It's like go do this, then go do this, and go do this, and then that's what it's doing.
So as per the company, this is their Helix 2 model, and it was trained off hundreds of thousands of hours of action on how to clean a house or how to operate within the living room. It's going to turn the TV off right now. It's going to have to find the off button to close it. That's crazy.
That's pretty dope.
And so they're saying it's not tele-operated at all. It's fully autonomous.
Nice.
And it's not really cleaning the fastest, but the point is it's cleaning. And it can figure out how to turn the TV off based on how it's been trained, which I just think is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to take time for this stuff to become super mainstream, but I do think it's dope.
Where do I write my check? Who do I make a check out to?
Will it be able to scold my kids? They leave the TV on for hours. I don't think they're going to be... Dude, my hot take is I don't think a single robot gets sold to a household until 2030. As bullish as I am on Figure, and I think it's going to take time. And it's going to have to be a reasonable cost. Like, I don't think any household would pay more than 20 grand for it. Maybe 25 grand.
That's even a lot for a lot of people. But
that's a 25 grand. Decent. That's a car, So yeah, I do think it would take time.
It'd have to make sense too to not hire a human to do that, because it just did maybe 2 minutes of work max in 4 or 5 minutes. So they have to make it a lot faster. It could have to be a reasonable expense to spend 20 grand on that.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see. Oh, all right, dude. I got to bounce.
Sam, appreciate you leaving Sam's Twitter right here in the chat, and you guys can follow him. See you next time, Sam.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Later. All right. So those were some of the main headlines. Again, we saw Trump speaking. We'll see if we get any other quotes, but we've pretty much got what he's saying about Iran. Everything else he's going to be talking about is more so the other Republican issues. Also, this was crazy in China. Speaking of robots, there was a robot walking his dog down the street. He's a robot dog, I should say. Which is, this is actually a super big bear case for the humanoid robotic thesis, because China is making them at 1/10 the cost. And 90% of the humanoid companies are in China, so they have the manufacturing down packed. Now, obviously, I don't think any American companies want Chinese robots inside of their warehouses and stuff, but still, the cost to build these things is dropping rapidly, and you don't see this happening randomly in New York City. So the fact that these robots are now proliferating, we saw that dance video in one of their festivals a couple weeks ago as well. You are seeing it gets more excitement. Couple of quotes I'm getting from Trump right here. Let's pull these up. Two of these quotes we didn't see. This is Trump saying essentially why they attacked. It's very similar to what he said already, but let's pull this up right here.
They're always saying, no, there was no reason. Well, I'll give you the best reason of all. Within a week, they were going to attack us 100%. They were ready. They had all these missiles, far more than anyone thought, and they were going to attack us. But they were going to attack all of the Middle East and Israel. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it on Israel. And this was going to be a major attack. And they had all of those missile sites and all those launchers that we got rid of, about 80% of them right now, by the way. They're always...
There's another one.
Always a dark cloud hanging over not only Israel, which was going to get wiped out. If we didn't do that B-2 attack, Israel would have been wiped out. They would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks after that. And
wow, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks if we had not done that attack.
Even now, I think they were looking to take over the Middle East, because when you look, and we have pretty good proof, all of those missiles that were so stupidly aimed at Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, that was a dark.
And then you have this clip, Trump saying the war will be finished quickly.
A lot of brilliant work, but we're going to have a much safer world as soon as it's finished, and it's going to be finished pretty quickly. A lot of brilliant work.
All right, that's what Trump is claiming. I mean, You either believe that or you don't. And I think over the coming months, the American people will have to decide how much they believe what he's saying. But his justification continues to be, if he did not act, a nuclear threat would have been worse. Let's go back to the stream because I think he is still live.
History of our country in the first term. And this one's going to blow it away. Again, we had a little pause, but it's not a very big pause. With your help, we also passed the largest regulation cuts in American history, ending the Green New Scam, one of the greatest scams in history, and massively increasing production of American oil, natural gas, and clean, beautiful coal. We brought coal back. You're not allowed to say coal without clean, beautiful coal. They built military. They say it wasn't history. It was 48 years that the inflation was the highest in 48 years. But I don't know, in some ways, 48 years sounds even worse because it's very specific. Yeah. But they had the highest inflation probably in history, but in 48 years, we inherited that. One of the
Okay, so Trump going back to being more, that's what I was saying. Watching the whole thing is not really that important because he's going to go back to campaigning. But those clips, I think those were three of the quotes that we didn't see when we were watching him for the first 20 minutes. Within a week, they were going to attack us 100%. If we didn't do the B-2 attack, Israel would have been wiped out. It's going to be finished pretty quickly. Once again, affirming those statements he said earlier today. And then his claim, which is that if we did not attack, Iran was 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon. I don't know how many people are going to believe that, but that is the story that him, Mike Johnson, Rubio, Pete Hegseth, all of them have been claiming is the reason why this happened. This is quite incredible, dude. To not think this would happen in 2026, not think this is how we would start off March, but there you go. It is happening. We're still 60-40 on the poll. Let me pull that up. Again, 60% of you disagreed with Trump saying the war would end early today. Again, that is the reason the market's pumped. Those are wondering why we went green. It was that Trump quote. Yeah, 60-40. Again, the same thing I said with Sam. If we leave now and the regime doesn't change, I think people are going to be wondering what was the point of this. If the regime just goes back to doing the terrible things they were doing, not only to the Iranian people, but then also with their enrichment process. If we do leave and we get some type of deal with Iran, well, what's included in the deal? Are they going to allow for more freedoms? Are they going to stop enriching uranium? Is the deal going to be hyper negotiated because of the lack of weaponry, ammunition, and military support that they have based on the attacks? Or is it going to be some collaboration between multiple countries working with Iran? I mean, there are so many more questions than answers, but I don't know if we can just leave and go back on what Trump has been saying over the past couple of months or couple of weeks, or a couple of days. This has only been 7 days since it started. I don't know. This one's confusing, dude. This is very confusing. Once again, in terms of markets, if oil continues to fall, which it's continuing to fall in the after hours, then, I mean, markets are going to love this. If they don't fall, I think markets hate it. But WTI below 90, I mean, who would have thought, dude? It was at 120 last night. It's at 85. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of silver on that January 30th when it fell 30%. But this is literally a 30% reversal on the day. So it kind of feels like that's one of the same things that happened. Yeah, and then USO as well got hit on the day, and oil is going to have to continue falling in order for this to keep going down. Is there still a Trump press conference at 5:30? No, I think that was it. I think they meant to say 4:30, which is why I went an hour early, but they said 5:30. Maybe they got the daylight savings times mixed up as well, but I'm pretty sure this was the conference. I don't think there's another conference in 10 minutes. He's at the conference he's at right now. Let's see if he's saying anything else here about the war, or if it's just more campaigning.
That's what we pay. And I did that through tariffs. We had a little disappointing decision, to put it mildly, from the Supreme Court. Terrible decision for the people. But the good news is I have lots of other ways of doing the same thing. I just have to work a little harder. They want me to work harder, but we're doing the same thing with a lot of work. But I use tariffs to get this because I went to other countries.
All right. So once again, talking about tariffs. What a freaking start to this year, dude. What a start to this year. Does this shirt really make it look like I work at UPS? I bought this like 2 weeks ago. With the Trump pump, we all forgot to acknowledge that you're back at UPS. Thank you, Donovan, for the super chat. But yeah, I guess it looks like I didn't even notice it, bro. It's hot now in New Jersey. I needed to take off the hoodie. Like, it's legit. It was hot outside. I love it so much, dude. I'm not really the biggest fan of spring, but the winter this year was so disgusting. And winter's not officially over yet, but it looks like we are getting some relief. No Ether, thanks for the super chat. Are we doing a Bay Area meetup next week? We are not doing a Bay Area meetup next week. I'm going to be at GTC. So if you're there in San Jose, would love to say hi to anyone who's there, but we are not doing a formal meetup. We are doing a Los Angeles meetup, which brings me to an announcement I had to make. So first of all, LA meetup link, I'm putting that in the chat. Please make sure to sign up if you are in Culver City and want to come by. We're going to have a lot of mods actually coming through, including Chris, Sam, and Steve, plus a ton more people. So should be fun. It should be a good time. But second of all, and I need everyone who wants to go to the Chicago meetup to sign up for this. So in order for us to book Chicago, we need a general sort of understanding of how many people are going to be there. So this will take literally 30 seconds. Please fill out this form if you are interested in Chicago. It's just your name, email, and where you're from. Because for us to book the venue, we kind of, New York, there's a lot of people on the East Coast. There's a lot of people on the West Coast with LA. But for some of these not smaller locations, because Chicago is a massive location, but like locations where it's not like on the coast, before we book the venue, we kind of need to get a glimpse of how many people are coming. So please sign up to that. If you think you're coming, the day we have is May 9th. The day we have is May 9th. So I know I initially said May 30th. There's a lot of stuff happening in Chicago around that weekend. So the easiest weekend for us to do is May 9th. I think that's also going to be easier for a lot of people instead of waiting until the end of May. So May 9th is the day that we are looking at. But, I'm going to need to see people actually sign up to this for us to book the venue, because we do have to put a deposit in the venue before we book it. And so, there's just more upfront costs. Again, LA, New York, they're different. Those are really big locations. So yeah, if you're coming to Chicago, please make sure to sign up for that, and then we can more seriously plan it. And then Singapore, I'm going to have a similar list like this for Singapore. Singapore, we're definitely doing around the end of June. We talked to the venue over the weekend, and the venue is actually a really good venue, and they were super excited for it, and the costs are not that bad. I know Singapore is expensive, but they actually gave us a really good deal. So I will be having Singapore updates this week, but this is the one for Chicago. London, we're thinking of August. It's just going to take a couple of months of planning for that, but we should have details on that probably towards June. Yes, it's on a Saturday. May 9th is Saturday. May 9th is Saturday. Your LA link is not working. Okay, let me get you another one. Pull that up real quick. Why does it say Trump's going live again at 5:30? I think that stream might be duplicating itself twice. I feel like this was the stream where he went live. I don't think we're getting a whole nother stream. Like, what is he going to say that he already said? Yeah, there you go. There's a link. There is a link. If that doesn't work, then you should be able to do this one. Texas is November. There's a news conference at 5:30. Dude, that is so confusing. Does the White House have a second stream lined up? I mean, maybe there are two streams. Maybe he did this Republican conference thing and there is another one coming up. I don't see a second stream for the White House, but We'll find out in like 5 minutes if that's happening. Is the meetup free? The meetup is not free, unfortunately, but we're not really making any money off this. There are a lot of costs associated with this: security, food, venue. You are getting dinner and drinks, one drink, and then there will be a cash bar. So it is not free, but we actually lost a couple grand on New York. The goal is just to build out these meetups, get the structure, get the feel for how to conduct them. So yeah, we're $100. We're really not trying to make it super, super expensive. Okay, let me pull this up. Yeah, it does look like he's having a second stream, which I don't know what they're going to say in the second stream, and I don't know who's going to be there, but it looks like it's happening. Can I go along to the meetup? Yes, you can. You can indeed. There will be plenty of other people there that are also alone. Why are we doing a second stream, dude? Okay, and where is this news conference? Because he said it's in the ballroom. He's in the ballroom right now, right? Or is this not? I doubt it's going to happen at 5:30. That's 4 minutes from now. That might take a lot longer. Is that going to be the taco stream where he like more explicitly says the war is done? We are not having a meetup in Iran. That's probably not going to be the best. It might be a little tough to do that. Miami's probably going to be October. Miami's probably again. The schedule so far is, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of vibe coding my own website, so we have all this information on like a centralized space. I think that might be easier for a lot of people. So I think my first Claude Code project is going to be vibe coding my own website, and that way everyone can have like a calendar of AK Media events coming up. I'm legit going to try to do that over the weekend. Shouldn't be too hard. And that way, whenever someone asks a question, we can just link the website in. That should work out. Yeah, Miami should be October. Please stay for the second stream. I mean, I want to see if he's actually doing it, because if that one's specifically about Iran, then that's actually more important. I just wonder if they all got their daylight savings things messed up and it actually was meant to be at 4:30 versus now. S&P down a little bit after hours. JK, thanks for the super chat. The worst part of this, Trump's tacos on the taco. When the news hits, the war will not be over for a while, which results in an even worse downturn. Yeah, I mean, look, markets priced in within the span of 10 minutes that the war was quote unquote over, or soon to be over. If Trump comes out or we have some military action that makes it obvious that it's not over, I mean, this can easily reverse, which is why it's hard to think that the taco was actually happening. Wow, U.S. Pentagon officials say the first week of the Iran war cost $6 billion, including $4 billion on munitions and missile interceptors. Okay. $6 billion of taxpayer dollars on this. It's legit funny having to see Amit to follow all the Trump news events. It's been like this for 3 years. For 3 years, I should say, since he came into office. I mean, even in 2024 when he was tweeting and he was the Republican nominee. That was also really important. Can I provide a free recap video for you? So we are looking for a photographer in LA. So if you're in LA, please hit me up. Just email Amit at akcoms.com. And yes, we are looking for a photographer. So if you do photography, last time we had someone local from New York, or someone local in LA, would love to have you there. There'll be a cash bar at the LA meetup. It's going to be in a hotel, the entire event. And yes, there will be a cash bar. Let me go back to him being live right now, which I think he still is. Yeah, he's still live. So I don't know what this 5:30 conference is going to be if he's still live right now.
And CAG, I said, no longer, that's not good. But MAGA is great, and we'll always respect MAGA. We love MAGA. We're never going to let you down with MAGA. But this one's even better if you think about it. This says, America. We're going to save America. The Save America. How can they fight us? The Save America Act. And I've watched them. I watched Schumer, who's horrible. What a horrible politician. He is now a Palestinian officially. He is registered as a Palestinian. He's taken the biggest turn of any human being I've ever seen. He's gone from totally pro-Israel to totally pro-Palestinian. He wants to protect the Iranian people that are quite nasty. But it's very simple. All voters must show the act. Voter ID. Ready? This is not complicated. Voter identification. Now, if I have a whole list, but I don't want to put, I have like.
Okay, so again, let me know if the mic is working, guys, but it's still campaigning. I mean, we'll stay on for another 5-10 minutes, see if there's another stream. If not, then I don't know, dude. It's confusing. Maybe that was the stream. But yeah, look, the stream title is Trump holds press conference as Operation Epic Fury continues. Trump himself is the one who said 5:30 too, so yeah, maybe it's not a daylight saving day. Maybe there legit is another stream that's happening. 677 right here. All on the S&P. All on the S&P. So here's a question for everybody. How is everyone navigating this war with your friends and family? Meaning, are you getting into intense debates? Are you arguing with people? I know people love to argue in the chat and accuse me of either being for the war or against the war. But like, are you having a hard time talking to friends and family about this if they disagree? Or what is the general circle that you're in talk about that? I mean, obviously my circle is more people that care about the markets. So, I mean, there's some political conversation, but it's more about how does this affect oil? How does this affect the markets? Like, I haven't had a single conversation with Steve about like the politics of this. Like every time we talk about this, it's about like, what does it mean for the markets? But I'm curious if other people are doing this. My family doesn't care. My family doesn't care. No one cares. I make money on options. It's an open debate. Affordability is top of mind for a lot of people. One thing I did talk to Steve about today is this concept of affordability. And I mean, he kind of agreed with me, which is that the majority of people are not understanding the logic behind this war. They just see their gas price go up, because Steve was telling me his gas price went up like 50 cents over the weekend. And obviously, Steve can afford to pay the higher prices, but he's just thinking about the average American is going to be asking what the hell's happening? Like, why? And if they don't pay attention to the news all day, they're not going to fully know. Is there an upper age limit for the meetups? No, we've had people who are 85 years old come to the meetup. So if you are 85 or if you are 18, you are welcome to the meetup. We had college kids in New York. We had people who are much older. So please, everyone is welcome. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all there talking markets. So it really tends to be a fun time. And, if you don't really have a community to talk about, there was a couple that literally met another couple and they went to get dinner in New York just based on being at the meetup and getting to talk. And, I do think the friendships are very valuable from it. So yeah, no age limit. And again, here is the Chicago Google Doc. Again, we're not going to do the Chicago meetup if enough people don't sign up for it, because at the end of the day, these venues are pretty expensive, and we just have to get a glimpse of if people are actually going to be there. So if you are going, please make sure you sign up. And if not, then no worries. Okay, I'm seeing a decent amount of people saying that my family doesn't care that much about it. A couple people saying I talked to my siblings about it. My sister asked me what's going on, and I tried to explain it, and then she got bored, and she was like, I was like, all right, I get it. Like, it's like the average person just doesn't care that much about it. But we do, because we're deep in this. Yeah, I saw $3.99 in Jersey. Austin should be November. Austin again. Goal is November. She just got bored. Yeah, dude, she got bored. I mean, yeah, this is what I'm saying. I just for me to explain the history, dude. I went on this freaking North Korea binge over the weekend. Like, you guys know this guy on YouTube? Because I've seen his thumbnails before, but I never actually clicked his video. I am freaking binging this channel. I'm sure some of you guys have seen this guy before. Johnny Harris. I mean, talk about incredible content. Like, absolutely amazing videos. He does these like deep dives on geopolitics. And I mean, the guy's incredible. Like, absolutely fascinating stuff. And so I've just been binging these videos. And I've always had this thing about North Korea. I don't know what gets me so into studying North Korean history, but I got into a North Korea rabbit hole over the weekend. And I was driving with my sister because we had to go to some family event yesterday. That's why I couldn't do the futures. And I'm like playing it in the background, and he's like talking about the DMZ between South Korea and North Korea, and sort of like what happened, and how the United States and Russia basically are responsible for the split between North Korea and South Korea. Like, the USSR was like, we'll take the North. The United States was like, we'll take the South. They drew an arbitrary line. Then there was 3 years of fighting from 1950 to 1953. There's never been a peace treaty, so technically they're still at war. And the 38th peril, that line, it was arbitrarily designed by some of the people working in the Department of Defense at the time back in 1945, and the Russians agreed to it, and then they just split them up between North versus. Yeah, it's literally communism versus capitalism. But so we were listening to it in the car, and I'm like, I don't have to drive because FSD is doing its thing, so I'm listening to it. And then my sister, out of nowhere, like while the guy is talking and he's saying something really important, she asked me some random question, and then I pause it. I'm like, first of all, I just missed what he was saying. Second of all, do you not care at all about North Korea? Like, this has been playing for 15 minutes. She's like, I haven't heard a word of what he's saying, because she was just on her phone. And I'm like, so you have no idea what we listened to for the past 15 years? Like, I don't know, and I really don't care. And I was like, okay, I get it. Like, some people, so like for me to expect her caring about Iranian war, like, no, dude, she's just not going to care. But I deeply care. And I'm just like, it is incredibly interesting to kind of go down these rabbit holes. And it's, again, a lot of this stuff has to do with nuclear threats, along with the Cuban Missile Crisis. And so when I hear, what happened back in the 60s, and then compare it to what's happening today, and you kind of see the rhetoric, like, all this stuff is just rhetoric right now. We don't have as much intelligence, maybe Trump does, on how real it was. Back in 1962, it was very real. Very, very real. And the craziest part about it was, hold on, is Trump live? Are we doing the second thing? Okay, the stream is up from multiple news sources, but he is not there. So once he goes live, I will flip to it. I guess he's going from one conference to another. Is he live? Hold on. Let me go to the other one. Let's see. Okay, streams are up, but the second stream is up, but he's not live yet. So once he switches live, he's there. What stream are you guys using? I don't see any streams that are live. Let me go to the White House. Is the White House one doing? No, he's still at the Republican Members Issues Conference. It's the same stream. Let me go to it. Let's see if he's transitioned on this one.
We're going for the gold. We're not going for the bronze. We're not going to sign a watered down version like has been sent up there. Let's go for the gold, and let's just not accept anything else. I'll tell you what, I'm willing to just sort of say I'm not going to sign anything until this is approved. I really am. That's how bad it is.
He's talking about the Vote for America thing.
5 senators that are.
Yeah, he's not live. He's not talking Iran yet. He's talking about he's not going to sign any laws until the voter ID stuff is inside. Okay, so the streams are up. I would imagine once he leaves that, yeah, CNBC is waiting for it as well. Once he leaves that, he's going to go talk live about Epic Fury. I guess at a separate event. So we'll see where he talks. But yeah, he's not live yet. What I was going to say is the craziest thing is, and I'm sure a lot of people know this story, which is about the Russian submarine during the Cold War that almost let a nuclear weapon go through. The guy's name, let me just pull this up right here. I'm definitely going to say it wrong. Vasily Arkhipov basically prevented humanity from ending. So there were 3 Russians on this submarine, and they had gotten direct orders from the USSR that if you don't hear from us, assume that a war is breaking out and launch a nuke. And the United States intelligence from the air found out that this ship was underwater, but the communications back in the 1960s were horrible, right? As the ship continued to go underneath the water, there was just they had no contact with the Russians or the United States. And so once they lost official communications, 2 out of the 3 people on the ship said, we should launch the nuke. And this guy is the one who said, maybe we just lost communications. Maybe it's not all hell is breaking out. And he was the guy who was the calmer head that prevailed to not launch the nuke. And this was during the time that Kennedy was actually negotiating a deal to end at least the Cuban Missile Crisis in the short term. But if all 3 of them had said, yeah, we lost communication, because their assumption was if we lose communication, that means Russia's been attacked, which means we have to attack back. And that was kind of the direct order we got. And that guy was like, no, maybe we should think twice about it. And just him thinking twice was enough to think about it. None of us would be here today. Because if we had launched, or if the Russians had launched, Kennedy would have no choice but to launch, especially if it had landed in the United. It would have probably landed around Florida because that's where they were sailing at. And then over the weekend, I learned about the Tsar Bomba, which was apparently 3,800 times more powerful than the bombs we dropped in Hiroshima. And Russia tested it back in 1962, and that let the United States know, hey, they also have a nuke. I mean, there was a window in Norway that broke thousands of kilometers away from the island that Russia dropped the bomb on. I mean, so I was a history nerd all weekend, because now this whole Iran war has got me digging deep into the previous times that we've had a historical event like this. And so when Trump says, they were a nuclear threat, I'm trying to figure out, is he serious? Is it Cuban Missile Crisis serious? Or is he just saying that rhetorically to create a justification to go to the war? And it doesn't really matter what I think. It matters what the American people think in terms of how much they're willing to believe this was good. Because the American people back in 1962, for 13 days when nukes had officially from the USSR made its way to potentially being planted into Cuba, that's when the entire world, at least the entire country, was holding their breath thinking, oh crap, Cuba's 90 miles off the coast of Florida. If they're going to launch, they're going to hit us. And that's, that was the most intense period around the 1960s, at least for the United States and USSR. The Trump speech ended. Okay, so the Trump speech did end. I've got 3 separate streams of a new 5:30 stream. None of them are officially live yet. I imagine Trump is probably walking to the new location, wherever that location may be. But I guess we will get another one. Unless all those streams got it wrong and that was the stream, which I guess we'll find out soon. But yeah, man, history over the weekend. I was deep into it. Yeah, dude, I don't even want to think about our nukes today. The nuclear war, it's one of those things. If we, and I learned a lot more about deterrence theory over the weekend as well. It's a political theory of, hey, if you punch me, I'll punch you. So if I'm going to punch, then you're not going to punch. That's it. That's the theory. And these nukes have, one could argue, that's kind of the philosophical question in Oppenheimer, right? The entire movie is was the movie the beginning of the end? Was the creation of the bomb the beginning of the end? Or was that the only way to neutralize World War II and eventually have some peace and stability across the planet? Just because everyone knew, at least the prevailing superpowers, that if we fight, then they're going to fight back. And the grave amount of destruction Like Hiroshima, it's estimated 45,000 people died within seconds, vaporized when that bomb was dropped. And as an American, you start like going into the history of like, wait, why did we drop the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Like, what was the point of that? And then you get into the Japanese Empire and what they were doing and all this stuff. And then you go through all the history of it. And like, you know, the American version is if we didn't do that, they wouldn't have surrendered. But then you think about the just pure level of destruction that bomb created on those people. I mean, you're talking about 50,000 people dying within seconds, vaporized. And you think there couldn't have been any other way? Like, there couldn't have been any other way for us to put an end to the Japanese Empire? We had to drop 2 nukes. And it's just, it is unbelievable when you think of the scale and capacity of how strong. And Nagasaki didn't even land exactly in the right way it was supposed to land. It ended up killing 38,000 people on impact. It could have killed about 100,000. But obviously the technology at the time was still not the best. Yes, obviously it was also responsible to Pearl Harbor. I get it. But, I mean, it was one hell of a response. And it really makes you wonder if the response needed to be that intense. Now, again, that's the point of studying history, right? There's plenty of historians that think the Japanese wouldn't have surrendered if we didn't do that, and that was the need for it. But you go deep into it and be like, man, that was the one time we really dropped the nuke, and you just question, you know, didn't need to happen. Okay, why is Trump not live yet? We're at 5:46. We still have more and more of these streams popping up. I'm from Japan. There were shadows of people left on concrete walls when they were vaporized. So sad. 200,000 people killed. Yeah, I mean, when I go to there's a bunch of museums in Japan that kind of discuss the history about it that I would definitely be interested to visit if I ever go there. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, and this is why the Japanese and the United States have such a good relationship to this day, because yeah, they surrendered to us, but also I think we realized the extent of the damage we did. And it was kind of one of those things of we're going to make sure we protect Japan forever. Because for us to do what we did kind of unconditionally, we have to make sure to support them, you know, for a very long time. Okay, are these live streams happening or not? I think, do we still have these up? The Fox one just went down. No, the Fox one is still up. The Wall Street Journal one. Oh, nope, there's another one. Yep, there's definitely another one. White House official stream. Okay, so there is definitely another one. We are getting more Trump today. More Trump. So I guess the Republican conference thing was different than the one we're seeing right now. By the way, that guy is back with the Chiefs. What's his name? What's his name? The dude who's the brother of the guy who married Taylor Swift? Fuck, what's his name? How am I forgetting his name right now? What is this guy's name? Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce. Yeah, he's back with the Chiefs. He's back with the Chiefs. So, I don't know if anyone cares about that, but he's back with the Chiefs. I get these random ESPN updates. I'm like, dude, why do I even subscribe? I don't even care that much about sports. It'll just like pop up randomly. Amit, would you ever start a subreddit? No, dude. To me, Reddit's just toxic, bro. Everything about Reddit is toxic. I do think there's an investment case with this valuation, but I don't know. I've literally, even when I was deeply covering Palantir back in the early days of 2022, I never posted content on Reddit. It's just a toxic place. Like, it's good for some information, but I just think people like become the most unfiltered versions of themselves. X is also toxic, but X to an extent is more about financial news and information and real-time reactions. Reddit's just a place where a lot of people that like have these weird thoughts come together and they let loose. And I've never like loved engaging on it and or consuming the content. Now, if I have a question that it pops up on a Google search, I'll go to Reddit and like read it. But does anyone here actually scroll through Reddit and like literally look for new ideas and content? Like the way I scroll through X, like do people here scroll through? They have 116 million DAUs. And not all of them are logged in, which is another issue for them because a lot of people use it while being logged out. But I never became one of those people. I guess X is enough for me, but also like Reddit, you don't really build followers either on Reddit. Reddit's like based on communities. And as a public personality, you want to be able to build your brand. So, to me, and then on Wall Street Bets, you try to post something, you'll get banned immediately if the mods don't like it. It's one of those things where I've never seen it as that engaging. I occasionally do scroll through Wall Street Bets though, to just like see what people are talking about. But yeah, I'm seeing most people say no, but I use it for research here and there. I go to Reddit for home repairs, random but useful content. Reddit reminds me of Craigslist. Dude, how many views does Craigslist? Let's check. I have not been to this website in so long. Let's see how many page views Craigslist. I think they have like 25 employees and they do like $1 billion in revenue or something. It looks like a website from, from the early 2000s. Okay, let me check. Let me pull up this website and see. Craigslist. Okay. Craigslist gets per month. Is it Craigslist.com or Craigslist? Yeah. Gets about 50 million. That's actually light. I thought it was more. 50 million. I thought it was way more than that. All right, about 50 million. Reddit gets 3.862 billion. And they're just now starting to really monetize that. All right, there you go. Can you put the Chicago link? Yes. Again, this is not a place to buy your ticket for Chicago, but this is just a place for me to get some context on how many people would want to go to the Chicago meetup. So you can just sign up there. It should take less than 30 seconds. That should be good. Isn't your sister a communist? I should call her and ask her right now live if she's a communist. She would get so freaked out though if I call her. She'd be like, "Can people hear me right now?" Sometimes she'll like walk in the room. Live. Oh, like it's okay. No, it's not. It's like very sympathetic to. Oh, Trump's live? I think Trump's live. She's very sympathetic to like people, but she loves her portfolio going up. All right, Trump's live. Here we go.
Very, very successfully. Over the past 9 days, we've carried out some of the most powerful and complex military strikes and maneuvers the world has ever seen. Now, you add that up to all of the other things, Midnight Hammer, getting rid of the nuclear threat from Iran, which was a big moment in history, in my opinion, and the great success we've had in Venezuela and all other places. Every place we've gone, we've had tremendous success. But while we're doing all of these things, we're achieving major strides toward completing our military objective. And some people could say they're pretty well complete. We've wiped every objective. And some people could say they're pretty well complete. We've wiped every single force in Iran out very completely. Most of Iran's naval power has been sunk. It's on the bottom of the sea. It's almost 50 ships. I was just notified it's 51 ships. I didn't know they had that many. Didn't last very long. And these are fighting vessels. They're meant to fight, but they're not meant to fight against us. We continue to target Iran's drone and missile capabilities. Their drones are way down. Their drone manufacturing has been hit starting today. We know all of the places they manufacture the drones, and they're being hit one after another. Their missile capability is down to about 10%, maybe less. We're also hitting where they make missiles and where they deliver missiles. We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it. If we hit them, it's going to take many years for them to be rebuilt, having to do with electricity production and many other things. So we're not looking to do that if we don't have to. But they're the kind of things that are very easy to hit, but very devastating if they are hit. We are waiting to see what happens before we hit them. We could take them all out in one day, but it's all resulting in a 90% decline in various things, but in particular, Iranian missile launchers and 83% drop in drone launchers. As you know, the drone launchers are pretty well shot, but we're at over 90% decline in the Iranian missile launchers, which is very hard to reproduce and very hard to get. And usually what we were able to do through great equipment, a lot of smart people, as soon as they sent a missile up from a launcher, we were able to knock out that launcher within a period of 5 minutes or less, accurately right on the noggin. So now we have low-cost interceptors effectively combating Iranian drones, and our B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound bombs to destroy missile launchers all over Iran and buried deep under Iranian soil in many cases. The soil was no match. And we're also annihilating the manufacturing base that the regime uses to build drones and missiles at a rate that nobody thought was possible. We're knocking them out. We know where they all are. We're knocking them out very quickly. We're ahead of our initial timeline by a lot. I would say that we probably would not have thought after a month we'd be here. In addition to the fact that we've taken out the leadership twice and maybe 3 times. And we, as you know, we want to be involved. We don't want another president that maybe wouldn't be willing to do what I'm willing to do for the good of the world, for the good of our nation, to be stuck with a situation in 5 years or 10 years from now. So we think they should put a president in, or the head of the country in, that's going to be able to do something peacefully for a change. They've been doing this for 47 years, killing people for 47 years, whether it's the barracks or even the SS Cole where they were involved. Very strongly, they always denied it. But where they were very strongly involved, and all of the people that died through the roadside bombs died and are right now walking around with no legs, no arms, a face that's been so badly damaged. The Iranian regime has been attacking Americans and spreading terror for 47 years. And despite these countless opportunities to renounce their nuclear ambitions, which they had just a short while ago, they told Mr. Witkoff, who is standing right over here, they said, they actually said, we want to keep building. Essentially, in a real nutshell, we want to continue to build nuclear weapons. If we didn't knock out Midnight Hammer, if we didn't knock out their Iranian potential, if we didn't do that with Midnight Hammer, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it long before now. And at a minimum, Israel would have been annihilated. I was very lucky that we had the courage to do that, that we had the talented pilots and the great equipment. The B-2 bombers are unbelievable. We ordered 25 more, by the way. The newer, better version. It's we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world by far. You see that no matter where we go. You still need the people, though, to operate it and to use it. And those are the people that we cherish. Even after we obliterated their key nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, they never negotiated in good faith. They still continued to say, we want to build nuclear. We want enrichment at levels that were unacceptable. And they even turned down an offer for unlimited free nuclear fuel forever for civilian purposes. We had people offering them free nuclear fuel. They weren't interested in that because they wanted to build a nuclear weapon. So instead, the regime was trying to reconstitute its weapons program at a different site. They couldn't go back to where they were, the 3 sites that we obliterated, but they were starting work at another site, a different site, different kind of a site. And that was protected by granite. They wanted it protected. Granite's pretty good, but they wanted it protected by a lot deeper They wanted to go a lot deeper, and they started the process while rapidly building conventional ballistic missiles. They were going to do it all at the same time that threatened our overseas bases and soon could have reached even our homeland. The regime's intention was to use this exponentially growing ballistic missile threat to make it virtually impossible to prevent them from obtaining a nuclear weapon. So as you probably saw, they had a tremendous number of missiles, most of which are now being used or destroyed, and very unsuccessfully used, because we have been able, for the most part, to shoot them all down. What incredible technology. The Patriots have been unbelievable, and other things. And the laser technology that we have now is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon. Where literally lasers will do the work of, at a lot less cost, do the work of what the Patriots are doing or what other things are doing. The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable. In my
State TV from Iran: the war can end if we get a guarantee that we will not be attacked again. Very similar to what one of their foreign ministry officials said 2 hours ago. I mean, markets might really like that type of rhetoric from Trump and Iran.
My opinion, based on what Steve and Jared and Pete and others were telling me, Marco, so involved, that I thought that they were going to attack us. I thought they would, if we didn't do this at the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And if you notice, they did something which was very foolish, very stupid, I would say. They attacked their neighbors. And their neighbors were largely neutral, or at least weren't going to be involved, and they got attacked. And it had the reverse effect. The neighbors came onto our side and started attacking them, and actually quite successfully. If you look at Saudi Arabia, you look at UAE, Qatar, and others, but they were strong and they were smart, but they got attacked. Nobody, when I first heard it, I said, no, somebody made a mistake. There was no mistake. UAE had over 1,000 missiles shot at it, knocked them almost all down. On the very first day I came down the escalator in 2015, I said, quote, I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And all I'm doing is keeping my promise. Think of that. That was in 2015. I said it. It was a threat then and a much bigger threat now, but no longer a threat, not for a long time anyway. We want to keep it that way. As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world. And I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before. We'll take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to recover, ever. If they want to play that game, they better not play that game. In the long run, oil supplies will be dramatically more secure without the threat of Iranian ships, drones, missiles, nuclear menace, or anything. So the Strait of Hormuz is going to remain safe. We have a lot of Navy ships there. We have the best equipment in the world, inspecting for mines. Again, most of their ships are down at the bottom of the sea, but we will hit them so hard that it will not be possible for them or anybody else helping them to ever recover that section of the world. They do anything. In recent years, the regime and its terror proxies have launched attacks on hundreds of commercial vessels. We're putting an end to all of this threat once and for all, and the result will be lower oil prices, oil and gas prices for American families. We've done that. We've done it. We brought it very low. This was just an excursion into something that had to be done. We're getting very close to finishing that too. In the meantime, during this brief disruption, the United States is offering political risk insurance to any tankers operating in the Gulf. So we're putting up risk insurance. We'll perhaps go alongside of them for protection. We don't think it'll be necessary if it is. And if they do anything, the price will be incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. with all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more.
Oil getting a little spike, folks. Went from 83 to 87 on the crude futures, even with Trump saying that prices will come down. Again, obviously down a lot from that 115 high last night. But you are getting some green candles coming in right now.
More than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner, great partner. They've worked out so wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period of time, and we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and all of the, we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast, but we hope we don't have any of that. And again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed, but they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East, and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing, and we're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. And if it starts up again, they'll be hit even harder. Thank you very much for being here. Go ahead. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Do you approve of Iran's new supreme leader? And secondly, can you tell us more about your call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today?
Yes.
What did you discuss?
Yes, I had a very good call with President Putin. We had a lot of people on the line from our side, from his side. We were talking about Ukraine, which is just a never-ending fight. And look, there's tremendous hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky. They can't seem to get it together. But I think it was a positive call on that subject. And we obviously talked then about the Middle East. And he wants to be helpful. I said, you could be more helpful by getting the Ukraine-Russia war over with. That would be more helpful. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you
but
talking
soon.
about days?
I think so.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to
soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
So no timeline on when this is going to end, but he continues to say it'll be soon. You know, I guess the market's got to figure out what exactly does soon imply.
to Cuba, you said that Cuba wants to make a deal.
Yes.
What would the United States get in return for that? And why should Americans trust Marco Rubio to negotiate it?
Well, Marco Rubio is doing a great job. I think he's going to go down as the greatest Secretary of State in history. Look at what we've done as a presidency. Look at what we've done as an administration.
They trust Marco, and so do the American people trust. He's been successful no matter where he's been. He also speaks the language, which is always nice and always helpful. But he's dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter because they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no money. They're in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis. And we don't want to see that, but they were very, very bad to a lot of people, as you know, and a lot of people living the Cuban-American vote, which I got at record levels. Very important. Those people are very important to me. I know what they went through. They went through hell. Some of them have gone on to be some of the most successful people in the country. Cuban-American business people, some of them are like the most successful in the country. And a lot of them are friends of mine because I've been fighting this battle with them for a long time. The Castro regime was brutal, but they lived off Venezuela. Now they don't live off Venezuela. Sends them no energy, no fuel, no oil, no money, no nothing. They lived without Venezuela. They couldn't have made it. And we cut them off from everything else. So, yeah, they're going to make either a deal or we'll do it just as easy anyway. Yeah. Please, go ahead.
Strike and a Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the U.S. accept any responsibility?
Well, I
for that
haven't
strike?
seen it. And I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries. You know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more. But whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic. It's sold to other countries, but that's being investigated right now.
So the 180 schoolgirls that were killed in an attack in the early days of this war breakout, there's a new video going viral that a Tomahawk missile is what actually blew up the school. And you got a lot of people saying, a lot of people said it was the United States. Then you had other people coming out saying the Iranians misfired. But now if the Iranians don't have access to those weapons, then people are saying it has to be the United States. And I guess Trump's official response to that is that the Iranians also have Tomahawks.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared
Well, I think
for
you could
this war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
It's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar, they have no telecommunications, and they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, it's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. These were ships. These were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off their ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufactured the drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the Trump administration, what we want to do. Thank you. Yeah, please.
Can I ask you, you mentioned you were going to waive certain additional oil waivers or sanctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and address in particular?
Well, we're looking to keep the oil prices down. We went artificially up because of this excursion into a very positive thing. I mean, this was an excursion that a lot of people wouldn't have done. I knew oil prices would go up if I did this, and they've gone up probably less than I thought they'd go up. But I don't think anybody thought we were going to be this quickly successful. This was a military success, the likes of which people haven't seen. We have the best military. We have the best equipment. We have, I believe, the best generals. We have the best. And this went very quickly. We talked about that with President Putin. He was very impressed with what he saw because nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. You know, Iran was a very powerful military country with all of the missiles. Now, you had the double attack. You had the original attack with us in Israel, and that knocked them for a loop. Then you had the B-2 bombers, which took out their nuclear capability, and they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to 4 weeks. And they would have used it long before this press conference. And we might have had a much different press conference if we had a press conference at all. But it's been amazing. The military success that we've had is truly unprecedented.
You've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of Senator Mullen as your next DHS secretary? Does that mean a DHS funding bill? And Senator Thune said today, it's not a matter of whether or not your Republican colleagues agree with the policy. It's about changing the process. In other words, getting rid of the filibuster to get there.
So in order to get it, you're going to need Democrat votes. And what we're saying is the Save America, not the SAVE Act, which nobody knew what it was, the Save America Act, the Save America Act. And that's voter ID. We want voter ID. When a voter, we want to be able to see a picture of the voter. We want to be able to see that the voter is legitimate. We want, very importantly, confirmation that this voter is a citizen of the United States of America. And we want no mail-in ballot scams. So we have exceptions for the military, for sick, for disabled, and for people that are away, business trips or whatever. Even vacations will be very liberal in that. We've added two things to it: no men in women's sports and no transgender mutilization of our children. We don't want it's mutilization of our children, and we don't want that. So we added those two things. That's the 5 points. We have 5 very good points. It polls at 86% with Democrats. Think of that. The overall vote is 86%. With Republicans, it's 98%. And the only one opposed to it is a Democrat leadership because they cheat. They want to cheat. So we added those 2 points. We're going for the gold, and we're going to have to fight like hell. Now, certain things will happen. Certain things will take place. I'm here to do a great job for the country. But we don't have a country if we're going to have elections that are so corrupt and so dishonest like we've witnessed over the last period of time. You know, as an example, virtually nobody has nobody has a system of mail-in ballots like we have. No other country in the world. France went away from it. They all went, you know why? Because it's corrupt. And Jimmy Carter, when he had a commission, frankly, I think it's probably the best thing Jimmy Carter did. He said, you can't have mail-in voting because it's inherently dishonest. And it's turned out to be totally dishonest. So we're going to fight for it. Yeah.
Has Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S.? There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period, but we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
Do you have to take him out? Does he have a target on his back?
You mean the new supreme leader? You mean the son?
How can there be an Iran?
Well, I don't want to say that, but you know, I was disappointed because we think it's going to lead to just more of the same problem for the country. So I was disappointed to see their choice.
That means that they don't want him in power. I don't know how else to read through that. If he's saying he was disappointed that they picked his son, either he's going to not be in power or the Trump administration is going to have to negotiate with him. But if this war is ending soon and he's still in power, it doesn't seem like those can be too consistent with each other.
You've said you have someone in mind to be the new Iranian leadership, if not the Ayatollah's son. What are you looking for in that person? Are you looking at someone internal, given that you just said that their leadership has been
I like the idea of, internal and eternal, come to think of it. But I like the idea of internal because it works well. I mean, I think we've proven that so far in Venezuela. We have a woman, Delcy, who has been, president of the country, very respected, she's doing a great job. And it's, no disruption. We had, as you remember, Iraq, where everybody got fired. The military got fired, the police got fired, the politicians got fired. There was nobody. And you know what they turned into? ISIS. And we don't want that. We don't want that. So I would like to see people that are inside go. Now, they talk about the son of the Shah. They talk about other people, but, hasn't been there in many, many years. We have a formula that's been very good so far, and I think it'll continue to be good. The relationship is extraordinary with Venezuela, smart country. We've taken out 100 million barrels of oil. It's right now in Houston being taken care of and made.
VIX and oil futures, they're getting some action. Oil at 89, VIX is moving up. I don't think the street loves what he's saying about the new leader because he's implying that he doesn't want him to be there, which means war continues. But if he continues to be there and Trump leaves, then that means they didn't accomplish regime change. So I think the market's a bit confused on how does the war end anytime soon if you don't like the Ayatollah who just got put into power.
So beautiful. And you have to see this at work. They have, it's brought to the refineries. It's being refined in Houston, which is made exactly for that product. And so far, but it's 100 million barrels of oil. And now they have another 100 million barrels coming. And it's like a partnership. We're getting along so well with them. It's great for Venezuela and it's great for the United States. Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. President, you just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report. Yeah, please.
You said earlier that we've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. What do you consider enough? What's your baseline?
Where they're not going to be starting the following day to develop a nuclear weapon. Where they'll look at that man and some other people from the administration and say, all right, we're not going to do it. They were not willing to say that. And when Steve called up and he said that to me, I said, well, here we go. Let's do it the hard way. But the hard way, I think, is probably the easy way. When basically I can see that they will no longer have any capacity whatsoever for a very long period of time of developing weaponry that could be used against the United States, Israel, or any of our allies. We have great allies in the Middle East, great countries that are allies. And they were staying out of it until they got hit. Someday they'll have to do a story. Why did he do that? Why did they do that? But they were going to hit them. If I didn't hit them first, they were going to hit our allies first. I believe, upon information and belief, but I believe that he was going to, they were going to take over the Middle East. They were looking to take over the Middle East. Now, had Operation Midnight Hammer not taken place, that was definite, because they would have had a nuclear weapon within a matter of weeks. But that took place. That was a setback. But look at the number of missiles they were able to buy and make over the last 6 months. And those missiles were aimed at various countries. And when you look at over 1,000 missiles shot at like UAE, they were looking to take over the Middle East. We got there first. We're lucky. I'll tell you what, the Middle East and those countries, very rich countries, are very lucky that I was president instead of somebody else.
Points of disagreement between yourself and your vice president when it comes to U.S. action in Iran?
I don't think so. No, we get along very well on this. He was, I would say, philosophically a little bit different than me. I think he was maybe less enthusiastic about going, but he was quite enthusiastic. But I felt it was something we had to do. I didn't feel we had a choice. If we didn't do it, they would have done it to us. I felt, based on the negotiations that were being had by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco and Pete, and everybody was involved, I felt that they were looking to tap us along before they hit, and I thought they were going to hit. And if they hit us first, that would have been a very bad thing. In the back, please, in the back. About the Strait, you mean? Yeah, well, I want to keep it open. I want to keep it good. You know, it doesn't pertain to us so much as it does to China. We're really helping China here and other countries because they get a lot of their energy from the Straits. But, hey, look, we have a good relationship with China. It's my honor to do it. Yeah.
Leader, you have called him an unacceptable choice. So does he have a target on his back? And how can you say
I don't want to say whether or not he does because that would be inappropriate. But hey, look, I had a target on my back because, as you people wrote pretty well, they caught the assassin that was after me. So we just got them first, but they caught the assassin. They have him now in custody that was after me. So, you know, but people don't like to mention that, but they did catch him. And I'd like to congratulate our military, Secret Service, FBI, all of the people that worked on that, but they did. Yeah, please. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of
Will
the
I
people?
help them? I'd like to, if they can behave, but they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great, I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped. And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, as of today, there have been 8 U.S. military fatalities associated with the war in Iran. How many American deaths are you willing to have in this war?
Well, as I said before, when you have conflicts like this, you always have death. And I was at Dover yesterday. I met the parents, and they were unbelievable people. They were unbelievable people, but they all had one thing in common. They said to me one thing, every single one: finish the job, sir. Please finish the job. And I'll leave you at that. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Okay. This was the first full-scale press conference where he took questions about the war publicly. I mean, I think the craziest thing Trump said, I just did a quick Gemini search. Gemini could be wrong, but he said Iran has Tomahawk missiles. Google says it is highly unlikely that Iran could easily obtain Tomahawk missiles, as those are exclusively used by the United States and a few allies. So, I mean, again, maybe Gemini is wrong here and maybe they have more intel, but I think it's unlikely that Iran having Tomahawk missiles. Who's selling them Tomahawk missiles? It's not the United States. It's not the UK. It's not Spain. It's not France. So, I mean, that is going to be another thing that I think a lot of people try to question. The other big thing he said was that he refuses to say if the Ayatollah has a target on its back. Again, I'm just trying to analyze it very objectively. If the whole goal is for regime change, the whole reason we did this was to get rid of the current regime and the nuclear threat, but implicit in the nuclear threat is getting rid of the regime that is obsessed with wanting to obtain a nuclear weapon to engage in terrorist activities with a nuke. If that's the reason we did this, the Ayatollah's son cannot be the new regime that we're happy with. It just doesn't make any sense at that point to leave him in place. So either we leave and we end the war, which means which markets will love, but we're left with the Ayatollah's son as the new supreme leader, who's probably going to be pretty motivated to, get revenge, given that we killed his father, or we have to take out the new leader, which again, Trump said was refusing to say if there's a target on his back. I can't imagine how there's not a target on his back. Otherwise, they're okay with him being the new. I mean, the Venezuela lady, who's the new president, is not the same type of person we're dealing with in Iran, who is the Ayatollah's son, who many, many reports over the past 48 hours have claimed is much more significantly anti-US, anti-Western than his father. So I don't think the Ayatollah's son is going to become some liberal version of the previous Ayatollah and, allow democracy to spread. Like, that's not happening. So there's either a target on his back or we're talking out of regime change. It's one or the other. Because there's no way in hell we're going to negotiate with the Ayatollah and he's going to agree unless, he had some spiritual moment of realizing, oh my goodness, I need to embrace the West. Otherwise I'm going to be killed. Like maybe that's possible, but we either taco out of the regime change and let him be in power and claim victory on the war, which markets will rally on that. Markets will love it because markets will just say, we don't really care who's the leader in Iran. We just want to make sure the war ends. Or we continue the war, which is why I think the VIX and the oil futures are spiking right here, because everything he just said is not necessarily conducive to the war ending. And so, I mean, I think that's the sort of conundrum, the paradox that we are stuck in. Either we're going to continue or we're not. People can change. Maybe the Ayatollah's son is going to be a liberal Western type of leader and work with the United States and give up all their nuclear ambitions. I mean, maybe that's possible. And maybe they do a joint press conference with Trump in a couple of days, admitting defeat and that they are going to concede to what the United States says. But I mean, dude, his dad was just murdered and he grew up thinking death to America. I don't think the guy is just going to change overnight. So I don't know. This is continuing to get a bit more dicey. The Tomahawk missile thing, though, was just, if Iran has Tomahawks, that says something about the United States more than anything. But that is one thing that Trump claimed. I think the only other takeaway from that entire press conference was Trump once again claiming that we have the better offensive, which he's right about, and that the Iranian military doesn't stand a chance. The problem is the timeline on when this is over, other than claiming it will be over soon, is what the markets are going to have to grapple with. And this market is stupid, dude. Like, it'll take one or two words from some official and then rally or go down. So if tomorrow you just start seeing headlines saying the war is going to last longer than expected, I mean, what do we think is going to happen? This entire pump that we had today, it either gets muted, stays flat, best case scenario, or we go down unless there's continued momentum on the belief and perception that the war is ending soon. And then what does soon mean? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 days, 3 days? I mean, given the 50 minutes we just heard, does anyone think this is going to end soon? Because just objectively, it doesn't seem like that. S&P now getting dumped after hours. Not a real dump, but it is going red compared to where it was before, down about 1/3%, 675 now. Yeah, VIX is starting to spike. Oil starting to spike as well. I mean, dude, if this continues past the month, I don't know if soon is necessarily going to play out. Mid, is it okay if I use some of your content in an article I'm writing? Yes, go ahead. Feel free to. Maybe he meant similar to Tomahawk. I mean, he said Tomahawk. I don't know. I think that I wonder what they're going to conclude in that investigation, because they might just have to admit that it was them. And I know Trump would hate to admit that because of the circumstances of how bad that played out. But even he is right. That reporter was right. Hegseth refused to say that it was the Iranians. On Air Force One, when they asked about it, Hegseth was like, we're looking into it. We're investigating. Trump claimed it was Iran. And then the reporter said, Mr. Hegseth, do you agree with that? And Hegseth was like, we're looking into it. He could not definitively say it was Iran, because obviously, he could have been lying there, and he probably didn't want to say something without fully understanding it. All right, that's what we got. That is what we got, folks. It was the first official press conference from the United States making this argument. I mean, if it's Israel, guys, it's not that much better. The point is, if the U.S. and Israel are going together at this, then even if the United States literally didn't do it, I don't think they would want to admit that Israel did it either. That was the first time. I mean, it's been a week. So Trump's been doing all these like small interviews with little reporters back and forth, including CBS Day, which is what pumped it. This was the first time we had a full-on hour-long press conference. And I guess tomorrow we'll see how the markets react. Bitcoin holding up 68,000, gold and silver slightly flat after hours, but gold down about 0.74. Silver is actually up about 3. And we'll see later this week what happens. Yes, CPI's on Wednesday. That's another big thing we got to worry about this week. And given the PPI and PCE, I don't know if we can expect anything good for CPI, but what's the number that we want this week? Let me just check. CPI, oil right now at 87. CPI on Wednesday, the street would like to see. Do we have expectations here? 2.5. We came in at 2.4 last time, right? Yeah, 2.5. Okay. So we're going to need to be above or below 2.5. Iraqi officials announced that oil shipments have stopped because of attacks by the United States and Israel. Okay, so we knew this was coming. They kind of hinted to this happening last week. You're getting the official announcement right now. As per Bloomberg, Iraqi officials announcing oil shipments have stopped because of attacks from the United States and Israel. IDF also, while Trump was speaking, said that they've launched missiles to Tehran, which kind of confirms those reports we heard 2 hours ago about large explosions being heard. That could also be help. Yeah, oil right there at 88. I mean, that could also be a reason more than the Trump speech, this Iraq headline, for why oil getting a little bit more of a bid. What did you guys say in the poll? 67% of you think oil will be back to 100 soon. 32% say no. Dude, wouldn't it be crazy if oil went back to 100 tomorrow? Like, I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be absolutely crazy. 30% down and then 30% back up. I wouldn't think that would happen. I think maybe Trump calmed down the markets enough to, along with the G7 SPR reserves coming up, but I guess time will tell now if that plays out. All right, guys, that is it for me. We had 2 Trump press conferences. Again, I hate covering politics as much as you guys hate hearing about it. Trust me, I'm not a fan of it. I don't know how many times I have to say over and over and over again, I do not care about imposing my political beliefs on any of you guys. I know a lot of you guys think I'm like the biggest MAGA guy. A lot of you guys think I have the most ridiculous form of TDS. Like, I really, if I can just say this again, I do not care about imposing a political belief on you. That is not why you guys come to this channel. You guys come for my jokes, obviously, and the instant coffee. You do not come to get like a political perspective. Now, the goal is to hopefully bring in those perspectives to analyze it back to the market, which I'm trying to bring both sides, even if one side sounds crazy and the other side sounds crazy, which pisses off the other side of people in the chat. But I do not wake up every morning thinking, man, I've got this political opinion. I can't wait to tell all these people how to think about the world. It's just, how do you not bring it up, right? Like, again, I'm trying not to be super biased and pick one side. It's just, it is inevitable. You're going to have to talk about this shit. And you're going to have to do some reading of history to at least confidently attempt to say some things about this stuff. And you can't really ignore it, because the entire reason the market pumped today was because of the war, or at least the perceived end of war, which means you have to be able to talk about the war to then talk about the perceived end of war to then analyze why stocks are going up as Nvidia falls 1% after hours. So it's kind of inevitable. I come for the mispronounced words. Okay, that as well. That's another good reason. But trust me, for those that think I have some sinister motive to convince people about loving Trump or hating Trump, I just don't, guys. I really don't. I like making money and making people laugh. That's it. Like, I really do not care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Like, it's not something I think about every day. It's just hard to, to not talk about both sides when this stuff is happening. And I work at UPS as well. That's also another part of my life. All right, that is it. I'll be back tomorrow. Market open. I was going to do a daily recap, but we kind of got caught up with 2 streams. And yeah, it looks like we're not going to have a daily recap today, but we'll be back tomorrow. This week's also going to be a traveling week. So I'll let you guys know where I'm going on Thursday, but I will be FSDing for a few hours on Wednesday to go somewhere. So you guys will find out about that stuff this week. And then next week's also traveling week, because we're going to GTC for NVIDIA. So we got a bunch of traveling to do, but we will try to cover as much as we can for everything going out. All right, that is it. I just come for the goodness gracious. I need on my website that I vibe code, I'm going to put a section for all my phrases. If you know a phrase that I've said for years, if you've been watching, just DM it to me. I have like most of them, I think, but I'm sure there's some that I haven't said in a while. I'm going to make this website over the weekend and have literally everything associated with the channel. Okay, last thing right here. Again, if you are coming to Chicago, please make sure you sign up on this. This is not the ticket link. This will take 30 seconds or less to sign up, just to get a inclination of how many people will be at Chicago. So please sign up to that. Just so we have a better chance of booking this venue. And then again, LA, I'll put the link in the chat. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. Super excited about that. And we'll be there on March 28th. I miss when you called yourself Derivamit. See, you're OG. That is true. I did proclaim myself back in 2023. I learned about spreads. And I was like, guys, my name is now Derivamit. Derivamit. But see, that's when I was young and naive, you know? That's what you do during those days. SoundCloud name confirmed. There you go. All right, cool. That's it. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. I will see you guys tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Also, we have Oracle tomorrow. Oh, okay, hold on real quick. Do we do Oracle or do we do Technical Tuesday? Because the guys wanted to do Oracle, but I'm sure you guys want Technical Tuesday. I think you guys are going to say Technical Tuesday. I probably want TT more as well. Yeah, everyone wants TT. All right, I got to cancel on the guys. Got to cancel on the guys. That means Neil and Jose are going to do it themselves. Honestly, the Oracle call was so bad. Does anyone remember last? It was so bad. It was one of the worst calls I heard, just in terms of how they answered questions, how they talked about the data center financing. So hopefully this call is a lot better. But I mean, Oracle's down 50%, so hopefully it's got somewhat of a bottom. We'll cover the earnings, but we just won't listen to the call because we'll have a TT. And we'll do a preview of them tomorrow morning and see what we've got for it. Yeah, it was full of weird noises. Yeah, I remember that. There were like these random sounds in the background. It's almost like you know when you hear people like have their Discord in the back. It wasn't Discord, but it was just weird stuff. Oh, it was the sound when you send a text message on the iPhone. We were like, who is texting during this? And why is the mic picking it up? So it was weird. All right, cool. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning on the Market Open. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.